Welcome to another session of Court Kings with His Majesty, the one and only Jay, and your host,
sir.
Paulinho.
The champ.
All right, we're here to go over the Western Conference today, and tomorrow we'll be doing the Eastern Conference. We're going to start off from the standings from last year, how it ended, everything. So that first team from the bottom will be the Houston Rockets. Their record was 17-55. They completely missed out the playoffs, but we have to remember they traded hard in the beginning of this beginning part of the season, and then they just went on a fire sale. And then Christian Wood got hurt, from what you reminded me, Jay. And so they got some good draft picks. And like you were saying, a couple of ones that we got to wait and see how they turn out because they look like they were good. So what are you thinking like they're going to do this year?
I think it's going to be a lot of the same, but they're just going to be really fun to watch. Like they have that AAU feel to them where you're going to see their games mature, sure, but they're going to have this. You're going to have moments where they look like they're out of place and they look like they're a bunch of kids, but then you're going to have like these wow moments of like explosive runs of just them dunking on people, getting steals, being active on defense, knocking down shots. Like this Jalen Green kid is a superstar. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I don't know how else. He's a superstar.
Yeah.
It's just going to take time for his game to mature. That's it.
Yeah. He's got to make the adjustment to the NBA.
He's a bona fide superstar. Yeah.
He's got to make the adjustment to the NBA. I think is he your pick for rookie of the year?
Yeah.
He's like I was gonna say, he's mine too. Everybody says Cade on him. I don't.
Here's the thing with Cade that a lot of people don't realize. His game is more Ben Simmons with a jump shot, where it's not necessarily explosive, but it's very controlled. So he'll do what needs to be done within the flow of a game. So like that may be 13-6-4 kind of stat line. But because the team isn't that good, it'll be on like 12 of 32 shooting with like 2 or 3 of 9 from 3-point range. Like it'll be some weird, funky stats. But it's because his game is so controlled and his game is already so polished that there isn't a lot of room for him to do the wow things. Because like even when you watched him at Oklahoma State, it was never about the wow. It was just how mature and posed his game was versus college competition and how he took over games through his composure and through his consistent scoring. His playmaking is what's going to make him, but we've already shown, even with like Ben Simmons, you want to go further back, Royce White, like everybody's looking for the next LeBron. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times you'll get those kind of guys where they aren't necessarily explosive, but they can play make. But then you get a guy like Anderson from that's on the Grizzlies now. Kyle Anderson. There we go. Where exact same build, probably a little slimmer, was a playmaker coming out of college, was a big time player in college because he was such a gifted passer at being tall. But the rest of his game never really caught up, and the rest of his game was real regular. Cade's is a bit above average, but it's not like you have to build a team to make him look majestic, I guess, to make him look like the first overall pick. You have to have a team around him. And that's something that Detroit just doesn't have. So I'm looking at it like he may put up numbers, but between the injury bug, the fact that they play in Detroit, and the fact that they're probably going to lose a lot of games, he's going to get lost in the shuffle. Like he's not going to have the wow plays. Like he's not going to bang it on somebody. He's not going to hit a game-winning 3. He's not going to do what Luka did. And I think when people see Cade, they see Luka and think that, oh, we're going to get a Luka type, where I can see why people would say that. But Luka is different because he's been playing against grown men since he was 14. And though he's not that athletic, he's really, really smart. And his basketball IQ is through the roof. So he knows how to manipulate guys to make himself look good. And then he knocks down big shots.
Yeah.
And Cade is still very young and very immature in the game, especially the NBA game. So it's going to take him a little bit longer. and he may not even hit that potential that people see. Because again, people saw him and they saw Luka. They saw Luka blowing up, and they saw somebody that looked like Luka. So everyone's expecting him to turn into a Luka.
When I see him, I get like
he may turn into a glorified Royce White. Like
I get like Michael Carter Williams vibes a little bit.
Meaning he has a better body. He has a better body, so it's like he'll play the 3, he'll play the 4. He can, but he's not like, even if he's a 1, he's gonna be a big 1, but he's not as gangly or really like Michael Carter. What was his name? Michael Carter Williams wasn't shifty the way Cade is. So that's what Cade has going for him. But Cade's a little more shifty. He's a little more dicey. So like he may hit you with like a step back. Like his highlights may come from like, because he can manipulate you in a way where it doesn't look fast, it doesn't look fancy, but he'll hit you with like a up and like a in and out, left, right, like playing his foot step back. And he'll get a lot of separation and he'll get that shot, but it won't necessarily be fast. So it won't look that great, but he'll hit a couple of guys with those kind of shots. So it's like, oh, okay. Like you can see where, why he got drafted. But when you compare what that is versus what you're going to get with Jalen Green, where like the kid is like, I don't want to say he's DeMar DeRozan because he's not.
No, I'm just going to call him a stud because I don't want to compare to anybody.
He's everything you want in a young player that you can mold. And he has different elements of the game that it's already there, but they're so raw. But he can cover up a lot of his faults with elite level athleticism, like elite level athleticism. Like it is not fair. And then the kid has swag. And we all know the NBA gravitates toward that personality versus the quieter guys. Like the kid drips with swag. And he's coming in with a chip on his shoulder because even though he didn't go to college, he expects to be the number 1 pick. But because he didn't go to college, he wasn't the number 1 pick. He went through that new G League Ignite where in reality, they probably got a better basketball education and they're probably more game ready than a lot of the college kids. But because it's the G League and because he chose the money versus the prestigious schools, I think it kind of hurt him a little bit. And then on top of that, Detroit had Jerry Grant as like their top guy, even though he's like a 3-4 hybrid and Jalen Green is more of a perimeter kind of guard. But I think Green's explosiveness and the fact that team is so young and there are going to be a lot of highlights. There are going to be a lot of lowlights, but there are going to be some crazy highlights this year. It's going to win Rookie of the Year unless like Evan Mobley cracks the rotation in Cleveland and puts up numbers and Cleveland is respectable, which I don't see happening because he's in a clusterfuck.
Oh, yeah.
Like an absolute log jam in Cleveland, which is weird to say because they just said, you know what, we're going to be the Knicks from like 3 years ago and sign a bunch of power forwards and hope, somebody pans out.
Not just that, but their backcourt is a cluster as well, too.
Yeah, like they didn't really get rid of anybody and they didn't get any assets that they could have used to kind of flesh out the roster. They're still in the phase of acquiring a lot of talent, but you get a guy like Cullen Sexton, you get a guy like, I almost called him CJ McCollum, but
who's that other
God,
guard?
what is his name?
The other guard, right?
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
Darius Garland. There we go. You get a guy like Darius Garland, and you have guys that don't fit together, but they're just explosive, and it's like that's great and all, but
and
you're trying to turn Sexton into Dame, and he's not Dame.
And the thing too is that they're saying Sexton's an asshole, and nobody gets along with him.
But again, I don't see. Here's my problem with that. I don't necessarily think Sexton's an asshole. I think Sexton has such a chip on his shoulder that he hates the idea of losing. And because he's been in such a losing situation ever since he was in college, it's so like he's so in his head about it, and he wants to win so bad. And when you don't find people who are like-minded like that, you become the asshole because you want it so bad. And then the coaches are like, we're in development. He's like, no, fuck that. He reminds me a lot of Jamal Adams, honestly. Mm-hmm. Like that's who, when I look at him and I hear these reports, I hear Jamal Adams. Where Jamal, though he has some asshole tendencies, isn't an asshole. He just wanted to win. And I feel like that's all it is with Sexton, is that he just really wants to win, but he's also a young guy who doesn't know how to galvanize people. He's just like, I'm here to do my thing. And then like everybody else has got to be on theirs, because that's how he's had to be for so long. And he's like, if you watch him play, he's ultra competitive, almost to a fault. But like, yeah, Cleveland's just not set up to be successful right now.
What they're saying is Colin, none of his teammates like him in regards to Colin Sexton. They don't like him. They're calling him a stat pusher. They're saying they're talking about Garland. He's not out there trying to fucking get his stats go home the same way that Sexton is. It's just they're calling Sexton a stat pattern. You know.
Well, they're calling him essentially what they call Westbrook for God knows how long. But again, I understand why Sexton would want to do that, because you have to look at it from the standpoint of like, okay, what is the best way to get me out of Cleveland? Mm-hmm. I have to be valuable. I have to be an asset to somebody. So yeah, he's padding his stats, but I guarantee you, if you put him around, you know, a winning culture and around like a coach that's just as much of a hardhead as he is, and you get him around some teammates that can humble him, you're not going to see that.
I wonder if
you also
if
put him
like
on
Rondo.
Like a really young team.
I feel like Rondo.
Yeah, like if
because that's the problem with Rondo. Rondo has his basketball IQ that if you're not on the level as him or above, he that's why he clashes with coach. Yeah, that's why he clashes with coaches a lot, because he'll talk basketball IQ with them, and some of them might not match him, and he'll just be like, I don't respect you anymore, and that's it.
Right.
It's a wrap.
Right.
The way Rondo works, it's a wrap. You know. So and it is what it is. I mean, I see where they're coming from, but we don't know too much from Sexton if he has that type of basketball IQ like Rondo. And
right. We haven't seen it. No. Yeah, we haven't seen it.
So,
but like, again, I think that going back to rookie conversation, like mm-hmm. I think there's a lot more obstacles for Evan Mobley to be successful mm-hmm. being in a place like Cleveland versus like, I think Jalen Green's also in the best situation to win Rookie of the Year, because his coaches at this point, they're in rebuild mode. So win, lose, draw, it really doesn't matter. It's just like, hey guys, we're here to grow together, grow as a team, learn to play together so we can go balls to the wall. And he's just going to let those kids play. Because it's not even just him, it's Josh Christopher. It's I think it was Moses Moody as well. Like they just got a bunch of studs.
Which team is this again?
It's the Rockets. Mm-hmm. Like their draft class was just stud after stud after stud. Actually, I don't think it was Moses Moody. It was the center from Europe. I think Moody went to Golden State. But it's just like they just racked up stud after stud after stud, and they knocked this draft out of the park. Mm-hmm. But it's just like they need time to grow, and they have all the time in the world now because they just had this amazing run with James Harden where they got to the Western Conference Finals, they got to the Western Conference semifinals. You know, they had an amazing run, but now the expectation just isn't there anymore. Now you got a guy like Christian Wood who's 25. He's your veteran. He's the guy that's making the most money. Everybody else is on rookie deals or like low end, you know, undrafted free agent deals. So you don't really have you have a bunch of picks, you have a bunch of cap space that like if you want to make a move again, sure you can do it. But at this point, you can take the time to build this team. So honestly, I expect the Rockets to be in the bottom 5 again, picking high again. And I think, they're going to do what they did before, and they're just going to load up on talent. And they're going to build around Jalen Green. And then in 5-6 years' time, maybe even sooner, because the way these young guys are developing, who knows? But 5-6 years' time, like they're gonna make some serious noise in the West.
Yeah, I think the last year they ended 1755 as a record. I think they'll probably get closer to 30, but like more like 27 games. Maybe they'll improve by 10 games.
I don't even see that.
You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I don't see them getting over 25. I don't even see them getting over 25 wins.
I see them at 27, 28, close to 30, but they're not breaking that one.
I think they'll be similar to what Golden State, well, not Golden State, to what like Minnesota and Oklahoma City was last year, like 22, 23 wins. Because I don't think, because again, I don't, as much as talented as they are, I don't even think that they beat teams on talent right now. Like, I think they beat teams on like a back-to-back where like the other team's tired. Yeah, so like they'll just outrun them.
The stars are out. Like say, for example, like they play the Lakers, and the Lakers pretty much they're giving LeBron, AD rest. So they're starting Westbrook, everybody else. So it's like, they're missing two key components to that double ARP.
So it's like, oh, we're gonna see what this team can do because Jalen Green is hot, or the center is hot, or Josh Christopher is knocking down shots, or he's attacking the rim and he's attacking the matchup. And it's like, oh, like you'll start to see what this team can look like in the future. Mm-hmm. But like you're not going to get any tangible results this year.
And don't forget, they still have John Wall, and I think if I remember correctly, I forgot when.
No, they don't. There was an internal discussion between his people and management, and he agreed to step away from the team until the point that he will be traded.
Right. So that's what I was going to say. That's what I'm going to say, because that's what I was going to, because like, don't forget, they have John Wall. He's going to get traded, so we don't know what assets going to get back. We don't know if they're getting draft picks or a player and draft picks. We don't know what combination of a bag they're going to get in return for John Wall. They might improve either player-wise now or one player to help them out this year with a load of draft picks. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think, honestly, the most you can expect is, like, they're not going to get a big-time young player. Like, that's not going to be a thing.
No,
at least not this year.
They might get...
But they'll get a guy that they can help, that can integrate into, like, the future plans, where it's like they, like...
The other thing I look at it is they might get it depending on the salary. Because remember, salary has a match. They may get players who are coming on to their last year, so they'll get salary cap relief next year, along with maybe a draft pick or two.
Well, I think too, in order to move John Wall, they'll probably do a situation where they trade him, or it'll be a multiple team trade where they can get assets back that they can just waive. Mm-hmm. So they'll just get the draft picks, and then they'll just waive a bunch of guys.
Yeah. Because they don't right now, they're not in a win now mode, so they don't need to like.
They're not even in a win tomorrow mode. They're win like next week.
Yeah, and they have Eric Gordon still too. So Eric Gordon's playing so he can get a bigger contract.
I know for a fact. I heard rumors that he's definitely looking to get traded.
I wouldn't blame him, but I think he signed with them because he was trying to get one more year and he's trying to get more money out. But I wouldn't put it past him. They trade him for more assets. Like those are they're two veterans, and I mean if you want to count DJ Augustine as well, but those two are more of will get more trade pieces later on, which they will.
Right.
You know, so they're gonna add more to that youth. Hopefully they built this one better than the last one.
They just need to build it sustainably, because once those, like, you're getting all these young assets, and I don't think GMs look that far ahead. But it's kind of like what you said with like the quarterback situation in a previous podcast. Like, yeah, it's great to have young assets until you have to pay them. And then once you have to pay them, you really have to pay them. And if you're not winning by the time you pay them, you're going to get stuck. And that's the risk that they run. Because like, say Jalen Green hits, but the 3 or 4 other guys that was with him don't hit. and two of those guys don't even become effective. Like one guy becomes a rotation guy at best. Then it's like you wafted heavily. Like you need for Jalen Green to hit and for your secondary guy to be at least a star, and then for a third guy to be a rotation player, and then maybe a fourth guy be a specialist to kind of
balance off,
keep the train moving. Because again, Houston is very good at drafting guys. They're not good at retaining guys.
No, and part of it comes into that one when you get too many young cats and they're all playing well. It's like, okay, who do you re-sign at what? And then you have to be smart at that, because if you let one person go, then it's like, okay, you didn't realize how important he was to the team. So now he's gone. And
you become Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Like, as much as Oklahoma City is a success, Oklahoma City is also a cautionary tale.
Yes.
Because look at, again, now they have 3 former MVPs, two or three NBA champions that were all on one roster at some point.
And I think
all drafted.
Serge, they drafted Serge. No.
Yep, they drafted Serge.
Yeah, so that's a defensive player right there.
And then you got a defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you had all that in a building. And then you had a young Steve Adams.
Oh, that's right.
And then you blew it up. They had just drafted Steve Adams to kind of round out that team, and they blew it up.
Yeah.
And that's what you don't want as a Houston Rockets team, to blow it up before the team really has a chance to, like, really gel.
Yeah. It's
or you have to pay 2 guys and then let one guy go, and then you, like you say, you let go of the wrong guy, and then it's just
Yeah. So go on to the next team. Speaking of the Oklahoma City Thunder, they ended up last year with 22-50.
But we have to also remember Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was hurt, who was their superstar. Yeah, and that boy was cooking. He was cooking when he was healthy.
Yeah. Once the team was pretty much the keys are handed to him, it was like, okay, that's a wrap. This is me.
Like, he's that dude. Yeah. Oklahoma City is another team that's in a great spot, because if they can get Shai back, they can actually be competitive. Like, they can compete for an 8 seed, for a 7 seed, for a play-in. Like, with the play-in tournament now, like, you don't even have to be an 8 seed anymore. Like, you can be a 10 or a 9 and make some serious noise. Like, they're the type of team that can beat out a 7 seed and make it into the playoffs and make things interesting. But it all depends on if he's healthy or not.
Now, here's my question. On this team, who do you think is going to be the Robin to his Batman?
It's got to be one of the guys they drafted. It's got to be one of these young guys. It just has to be. The problem with their roster is I don't know a lot of people on their roster right now. They're all really young. None of them have established themselves enough to say, like, hey, that could be a guy. You don't know. You kind of have to. You kind of have to let them play it out, but you also have to see how they play with him. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is so good that he makes them a threat immediately when he comes back. And then it's just about the guys around him getting in where they fit in, because they have the talent. It's there. Like, they have accumulated enough talent, and then they also are a team in a situation where they have enough talent and draft capital and cap space to make a big move for another guy, and then they could really set themselves up to be competitive going forward. Like, Oklahoma City is a scary team, because they could either be a team that takes a veteran, lets him run out his contract, gets assets, makes a run for the playoffs, and still gets a really good pick, or they could be a team to like flip for a very good younger asset.
The one I'm looking at is Josh Giddey.
Like I said, it has to be one of the guys that they drafted.
Yeah, and I'm looking at him. to help him out. And don't be surprised if he impresses people a lot better than what they're thinking.
I saw him play in summer league.
Yeah,
he impressed me in summer league. He impressed me in summer league, where it was like it wasn't always pretty, but it was like, okay. You got regular. Yeah, some regular white boy. Like you got a little sauce to you, young man. Like, okay.
You got some tricks, my guy. You got some tricks.
You sneaky. You sneaky. Okay.
He's the
Y'all
one
might
that
have something cooking down there.
Yeah, he's the one that I'm keeping an eye on, because I'm like I saw a couple of one game of his. I can't remember against who, and I was just like, I'm thinking he's a setback, like just take a shot, whatever. I mean,
he out there, and I'm like, okay, he trying to dunk on people. He out here trying to.
Aussie.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, Aussie. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm looking up to see if he can become the Robin to Shy's Batman. You know, anybody else is fine, but he's the one that impressed me that I'm looking at right now.
Right.
And I agree. A lot can happen during the season to a lot of other teams. So I wouldn't be surprised if OKC actually ends up being like that last entrant in that play-in game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that makes them dangerous. That's what I'm saying. That makes them dangerous.
Because they had nothing to lose. They got nothing to lose. And a team that has nothing to lose.
And they have so many picks that it's like, even if they make the playoffs, they still get good picks.
Oh, golly, bro. I think we had like...
They run like half the draft.
They had like 22, 25 picks in the next, I don't know how many years. I was like...
Yeah, and they got like 3 first, or they got at least like 3 first round picks in every draft from like now to 2027. So it's like, I'm more nervous because they can move mountains to get big players, and they can do it multiple times. So it's not like it's not like they're in a position where like, oh, we can make a move, get one guy, and then we can't do anything. It's like, no, we can make a move to get that guy and then turn around and get that guy and still have space to move.
Yeah, they're
that's what makes them scary.
They're that scary team. They have the ammunition to get pay any price for any player in regards to draft picks. Mm-hmm. And they have the salary cap to take that in as well.
And then they have the star, where it's like, it's not like you go in there and you're not playing with nobody. Like, Shai's a killer. But the thing is, Shai just has to come back healthy.
Yeah. So, going on to the next team, the Minnesota Timberwolves. They ended up last season 23-49.
This is like the Minnesota is, to me, the curious case of like, what the actual fuck. Because it's like there's no reason why this team should be this bad. There's no reason. No matter what iteration you want to look at, they've always had enough talent to at least compete for a playoff spot. And every year they fall flat on their face. And I do not understand why.
The crazy part was
no sense.
It was like, who's going to win a title first? The Minnesota Timberwolves or the Milwaukee Bucks? After this last past season, that's been answered already. The Bucks have won it. And my thing was, I think the Bucks were going to do that because of the fact the way the ownership is set up and structured. I thought they were going to have more issues than the T-Wolves, but I was wrong. T-Wolves have more issues than I don't know what. I mean, the moment you got Jimmy Butler going in and I'm playing with the reserves, I got game. Beats the damn starters. I'm just like, golly. I'm like, bro. I
mean, again, I think Karl Anthony Towns losing his mom and him going through like this awakening as a man will help his leadership. But I'm also kind of looking at it like, I don't know what D'Angelo Russell I'm going to get right now. Because, again, the guy's injury history it's terrifying because he's never available when you need him.
He goes down at the wrong time, unfortunately. And that's the thing about Karl Anthony Towns is I was hoping he'd figure out his leadership a lot earlier than he has now. Like, my man's like, what, 26, I think, maybe? 27?
He's not even that old. I'm telling you, he's not even that old. I'm almost sure he's like 24.
Nah.
24, 25.
Nah. Oh, 25. He'll be 26
I was like, he's a young dude. Like,
he'll be 26 in November. It just feels like longer because he came in so young. That's why.
Yeah, but then also, again, Karl Anthony Towns is a defensive commitment away from being that guy. Like it's an attitude. Like it's for him, it's just the attitude of no one is gonna score.
It's like
I'm stopping
when
everything.
When I watch
if he
him
had
sometimes,
a little bit of that KG, just a little bit.
yeah. When I watch him, I'm like, dude, are you taking the game serious, or are you just
like it always looks like he's coasting?
Yeah, and I'm like, but you can see the talent he has. My man came in at 20, bro. He came in at 20. You ain't going into the NBA at 20 if you ain't got talent. And that's the
thing. He's a more talented Joker. Like he could have the offensive impact that Joker had last year. Not the playmaking, but the offensive impact. He has the potential to have that because he has a lot of Joker and KG and all these great big men. He has a lot of it in his game, but it's only on one side of the ball. And that's the problem. Like he has to commit to being the guy on defense. And he has to play tougher. He needs a little bit of like that LeBron when he went to the Heatles. Like that's the kind of fire you have to see from Karl Anthony Towns for Minnesota to have a shot in hell.
Yeah.
But then also I'm looking at it like, okay, outside of these two, we kept, Devin Booker's going to be the next guy. Devin Booker's no longer going to be the next guy to come in and save them. They need another guy. That's the biggest thing with the Timberwolves. In order for them to really be taken seriously, they need another guy. They don't have another guy.
I mean, they got Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo in the backcourt, and that's fine.
I'm bugging. I forgot about Anthony Edwards. I don't know why I forgot about him.
No, they have them, and they're fine.
Again, he's another guy that he has to take a step.
Yeah.
And all of these guys have to commit on defense. But I think Anthony Edwards is so uber talented that his step in the right direction is going to put them in the conversation for at least a 10 seed. But it's going to take Karl Anthony Towns' leadership and commitment to the defensive end to really push them to what their potential could be, which is like a 6 seed, really.
Yeah,
but again, they're all so young. And then you need a little bit of Brooklyn D'Angelo Russell to come back. Like you need a little bit of that asshole D'Angelo Russell to come back. Like you need it because again, Minnesota is a I hate to say it, is a Tom Thibodeau mentality change away from being an absolute nightmare in the Western Conference. But again, it comes down to leadership. Like they need the right kind of coach, they need the right kind of development, and they need those guys to buy in. And it starts with Karl Anthony Towns buying in. And I don't think that they have that in place. So I think that they may be slightly better. Maybe give me 37 wins, I want to say. 37?
They'll be outside the window of that number 10 spot?
Yeah, like they're going to just be like they may be like right there, maybe competing for it, but you're never going to take them seriously unless like that switch goes off in Karl Anthony Towns' head where it's like, this is my team.
Don't forget, they got Beverly. So if Beverly can
be a positive influence.
Yeah. And like, hey, look, this is what you do.
Because that's the thing. He has the right kind of mentality to do it, but he's also not Jimmy Butler in terms of talent. So that's my thing. It's like, can Beverly light that fire, but do it in a way that's positive and not in an asshole kind of way? Because Beverly, to me, reminds me a lot of what we talked about with Sexton, where he's so like bulldoggy that he can rub people the wrong way. But I mean, if the team can adopt his kind of that dog, like that real dog-like mentality where like we're coming for everybody. Like every time you step on the court with us, like you're gonna have to fight to get this. If they can adopt that, Minnesota can be dangerous. But I still don't think they win more than. I think 37 is high for them, but I think that they can get to 37.
I'm interested to see Anthony Edwards. I want to see where his game goes because he was upset he didn't win rookie of the year last year. So I want to see if he plays with that chip on the shoulder and he progresses and elevates the game more. You know what I mean? Because
See,
usually when you're at that point, you're like, okay, I didn't win it. All right, cool. But let me show you why I should have won it and keep growing on that on top of that. You know what I mean?
with Anthony Edwards, I'm giving him the RJ Barrett timeline where it's like I'm not really expecting him to really show me something until year 3 because I'm still of the mindset because like again, he even said it himself, like football was his first love. He's good at basketball. He understands that.
Mm-hmm.
And he understands it's a job, but it's never been something that he really, really loves. So my question is going to be, are you still going to put in the work that's necessary to get better? If he does, then cool. They're going to need it. If he doesn't, then he's still talented enough to make an impact, but your ceiling is capped if he doesn't realize his potential.
Yeah,
or at least start to get to the point where he realizes it.
Yeah, I'm not saying he needs to go from where he was at last year to like an all-star. He doesn't.
No, I
no.
think he needs to take the DeMar DeRozan kind of trajectory.
I'm looking more of like ball security. Like last year, he pretty much averaged 2.2 turnovers at the end of the year. That's a little too much for me. You know, if he could get
especially
that
for somebody that's not a lead guard.
Yeah. So and then he had like 19 points per game. It was average. It's not bad. If he improves that a little more, if he gets his field goal percentage a little higher, which was his field goal was 417. You know what I'm saying? That he was
terrible.
Okay. If he improves on that, he doesn't have to go crazy. If he improves on his field goal percentage in general and his turnovers, improves his points per game, I'm okay with that. I'm seeing progress. I don't need to see my man going like if he doesn't make All-Star game, I'm okay with it. But I want to see progress on there where he like, you know what, I'm taking.
I don't even need to see his points per game necessarily increase. I just need to see if he's going to become more, like you said, more efficient.
Well, the
if
reason
he can get the 19 in a more efficient way, and D'Angelo Russell comes back and kind of gives you that 20, 21, and then Karl Anthony Towns can give you the 26, then you cook it like you got something.
Well, I'll agree with you. If he still stays at 19, but his field goal percentage goes up from like 417 to like close to 500, bro, you're taking better shots. You know what I'm saying? Even if it passes 500, I'd be like, all right, cool. You're still at 19, but your percentage went higher, so you're taking smarter shots. So I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking to see from him this year coming up and see what goes.
Right.
I also am in agreement with you. I don't see them contending for that last spot at the playing game. They'll probably end up on the same number 13, if not 14, depending on injuries in regards to the standings in the West. Now, let's talk about the one team that has a load of talent, but never has anything to do with it. Doesn't know what to do with it. The Sacramento Kings. They ended up last year with 31-41. Right? They have De'Aaron Fox. They got Marvin Bagley. They got Tyrese Halliburton. They drafted Davion Mitchell, who I didn't want going over there, but they drafted him. They got who else they got in there? They got somebody else too. I'm trying to look at this. Buddy Hield.
They still got Buddy Hield.
Yeah. So it's like you have a backcourt locked up with all those players I just said, except for Marvin Bagley, who's a forward. Tyrese, De'Aaron, Buddy, Davion. That's 4 guards. What are you doing with those 4? Yes. Yeah. And you have to rotate them all.
Yeah. Honestly, the biggest thing I'm expecting from Sacramento is a trade. That is what I'm hoping comes out of Sacramento this year is a trade and a level of stability. Now, my only issue is you don't really know, like, it doesn't seem like they know what the hell De'Aaron Fox is, because he came out, to me, was the best point guard in that class, honestly. They gave him his money, and then they drafted Tyrese Halliburton.
But here's the thing. You had the kid for 3 years. How do you not know what he is after 3 years?
It's just, it's poor management, it's poor coaching, it's poor team building. And it's like, I want him to get out of there, but then I'm also kind of afraid for him to leave, because if you put him in a more stable situation, can he thrive? Because he'll have a defined role instead of just being able to free ball. And like, it's like when we talked about Houston, like that's a trade, that's a destination I'm curious to see, because you now put a young De'Aaron Fox with all of those young guys, and he can kind of make it his own team and take some of the pressure off of Jalen Green to be the franchise. Then you may have resurrected De'Aaron Fox's career. The only problem is now you have to get rid of John Wall, and even though the salaries match, I don't see John Wall agreeing to a deal to Sacramento, so there would probably have to be a third or a fourth team in there somewhere. But De'Aaron Fox moving to a team like Houston would be the type of move that I think both teams need to make desperately, like desperately. And then, you know, Houston, who has assets all around, where like they can trade draft picks. They probably got a couple of bigs that they can get rid of to kind of shore up the front court side of, you know, the Sacramento rotation. And then they have to figure out what they're going to do with Buddy Hield and with Marvin Bagley, because from what I've heard, neither one of them wants to be there. The team doesn't want neither one of them, but the trade value for both of them is probably so low that Sacramento doesn't feel like they can get compensated correctly for both guys.
That's their own fault. It's the whole Sixers thing all over again, because it's like you did to yourself with overdrafting players that play their position
and not moving on from guys like Buddy Hield. His contract situation last year, his contract was hot. His name was hot. You could have gotten something at least halfway decent for him when it was a seller's, when it was a seller's market. Now it's not really a seller's market, especially, you look at what Milwaukee gave up for Drew Holiday. Milwaukee doesn't even have a lot of high assets, but they still were able to find a way to give away 3 first-round picks. And you mean to tell me you couldn't get that for Buddy Hield? Especially from a team like the Lakers, who would have had to pay him, but then they also would have had to find other places to get assets. And they probably could have gotten a couple of first-round picks just by and getting rid of other, dangerous salaries. So, you look at teams that were trying to compete, teams that needed shooters last year. You mean to tell me none of those teams were giving up the assets that, you couldn't strike a deal to get rid of Buddy Hield? I don't buy that. I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah.
And Marvin Bagley is super duper talented, and nobody wants him because he's injury prone. That's the problem. They drafted somebody else. I forgot what his name was, but he left. Now he's on a better team and is producing because he's around a better culture. I feel like that's where Sacramento is right now. Like, they are the culture cancer right now.
Yeah, that's why they want Davion Mitchell going there. Cause I was just like, nah, man. I like his game when I saw him in college in Oregon, and I was like, I don't like him there. I was so mad when they drafted him. I was like, could he not just drop a little further down?
It could be a situation where he becomes a Steph Curry of that franchise, in terms of he makes them get rid of like a De'Aaron Fox. He makes them get rid of,
Buddy.
And him and Tyrese Halliburton figure it out, and then they start to hit on some draft picks, and then things take a turn. And maybe they call him Mark Jackson, because they may need to call him Mark Jackson because they need Jesus and a whole lot of other stuff. So they may need to call him Mark Jackson or Jeff Van Gundy or one of those old school kind of coaches that can bring culture to the franchise. I can't even tell you who the hell their coach is right now. No idea.
I don't know either. Hold on, I'll tell you right now. Their coach is
that reaction says it all.
It's Luke Walton. They're going to be the last team in the Western Conference.
I'm calling it now. Like, they're going to be at the bottom of the barrel of the Western Conference.
Yeah, Yeah, and they're gonna trade somebody. I think they're gonna find a partner for Buddy Hield and maybe Marvin Bagley. I think they're gonna stick to De'Aaron Fox.
I think it'll be I don't think he's gonna stay in the West though, or at least I wouldn't do that, simply because of the fact that you're shooting yourself in the foot if you do that.
Who's that, Buddy or De'Aaron?
Buddy.
Oh,
but like, if Minnesota can pull off that miracle of getting Buddy Hield, that's the deal you got to make as Minnesota, because he's the right kind of guy to go in between all the pieces that you have, and he's a shooter. So it's like, I get it. Your 2 and your 3 would be kind of small, but he opens up the floor for him and De'Aaron Fox shooting the 3 opens up everything for everyone else. And then now you have, Karl-Anthony Towns that can play a little more like Joel Embiid. He'd do for Minnesota what Danny Green did for Philly. But he's just more explosive, more athletic. But the way that the floor was able to open up, and like they were able to run that offense because he was always there, and like he was always in the corner, he was always at the top of the key, where like if they got into a bind, they could always find him, bail him out, and he's hitting that. Like that's the kind of impact Buddy Hield will have on the team.
Yeah.
But oh boy, the next team is a doozy. The next team is a doozy. Oh man.
The next team, our dearly beloved New Orleans Pelicans with their drama.
Oh man, New Orleans. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know what the hell they're trying to do. I don't even know who's on that team anymore. But like,
here's the thing. Like I was telling you guys in the chat, is like Zion Williamson needs to slim down, and I don't mean like just to lose the weight because he gained it this year. But when he came out of Duke, he needed to slim down.
He needs to change his body. Yeah.
Yes.
Here's the thing, though. You know why he's not doing it?
Oh, I know why he's not doing it.
I think Darius had a very good point, and he brought it up. It's a tactical play, because as much as, and I'm going to keep it real with you, as much as he was playing ball during the draft process, and this is not me being a homer, I think Zion wanted to be in New York.
I think didn't he say he wanted to be in New York? I thought
he said it. He said, I want me and RJ in New York. It probably won't happen because of, how everything was going, but he wanted him and RJ in New York. Both of them wanted to be in New York, right? But RJ was more content in, I'll go wherever I'm drafted. Zion was like, nah, I'm going to New York. Like, I know I'm going to New York. And then the ping pong balls didn't agree with him, and he's just like, okay, I'm going to New Orleans, and then got there and then got hurt. And then he started seeing how like the franchise was operating. He's like, what?
Yeah, because this is now the third leg injury he's had so far in 3 years.
And then the rumors started flying everywhere. So it's just like he's feeling real Sean Kemp for me. And I'm like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it, but I see it.
My man hit the Chinese buffet, all you can eat buffet.
Yeah, and then you got to look at it where too, he doesn't like, usually like you can link up with your best friends and you'll see 2 best friends like hanging out, working out, all this other stuff. The fact that Zion showed up, not that he wasn't in shape, but he looked a lot less toned than he has the last couple of years.
Oh, you can tell he was in quarantine in a pandemic.
Right. But then you look at a guy like RJ Barrett, who looks like he just lived in the gym. Like, that's how I'm looking at it, where it's like you compare him and RJ. RJ looks like he's lived in the gym. And then you have Zion, who just doesn't seem to give a shit. And I think that a part of that is like, yo, I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to be here. And he saw how the franchise treated Anthony Davis and how they just kind of strung him along. And Anthony Davis gave everything he could. And, you know, the franchise didn't love him back. I don't think Zion's trying to go through that. But also, like, there was a rumor about, like, he ghosted the New Orleans Pelicans franchise people, like, this whole summer. Like, that's why nobody heard about him, because he just went ghost. Mm-hmm. I didn't believe it at first when he did the press conference. He was like, y'all really believe everything that y'all hear? Like, listen, you're gonna hear it from me. I want to be a Pelican. I want to be in New Orleans. And it's like, actions speak louder than words. We'll see. And it's hard to not buy into that narrative that he doesn't want to be there and that his people don't want him there, when it feels like he's constantly showing up out of shape, constantly showing up hurt, and, you know, not dedicated to his fitness and his body, not living in the gym, not working on his game, as a first overall pick in a city that doesn't have a lot to do, but has a lot to eat and a lot of ways to get in trouble. So that's just kind of where I'm at with New Orleans. And then New Orleans just has patchwork, you know, just has patchwork put together roster. Like, they finally can let that guard that they got like a year ago, like, I forgot what his name was, but like, they drafted a guard behind Lonzo, so like they can finally let him loose to see what he's about. I think it was like Carey or something or other.
Oh, is it Nico? No. Oh, Kira Lewis Jr.
Yeah, Kira Lewis. Like, you can finally see what Kira Lewis does. They have Valanciunas, who should, in theory, fit well next to Zion. But again, they have all these pieces that don't really work unless Zion makes them work.
And Brandon Ingram, too.
Like I said, they have all these pieces, but if Zion doesn't make them work, they don't work.
But Brandon Ingram too, he's the ISO type player. So it's like,
yes, but he's still very much the secondary star, because as great as he is, he needs to play off someone else, because he can go and get his buckets and it's fine. Your team's still going to get blown up by 50. But if Zion comes in and can give you 22 and 15, he changes the game. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference in the impact and the style, because at the end of the day, Brandon Ingram's not coming in blocking 2 shots a game, getting 8 rebounds, getting 6 assists, while still giving you 22 points on 9 of 16 and, you know, 4 of 8 from 3. Like, he's not putting up those kind of numbers that can realistically impact the game. Like, he can give you 30, but his 30 is going to be 15 of 35 with 2 assists, maybe 2 rebounds, a half a steal, a half a block, where it's just like, yeah, you're giving me buckets, but you're not giving me anything else.
He's been balling out since he's been in New Orleans, though.
Oh, I'm not saying that he's not. I'm not
he's averaging. It's weird. Like, his average points has been stuck at 23.8 while he's been there. His field goal percentage has been pretty much almost the same. It went from 463 to 466. So it's like he's taking the same amount of shots. He probably made an extra 1 or 2 shots more.
Because, and at the end of the day, he's plateaued, because again, he can only go as far as a transitional talent, because that's what Zion is. Like, he's a transcendent talent to be what he is. The problem is, one, the way they play him is strange. Hopefully it changes now that Stan's not the coach anymore. But also the fact that Zion's not there and Zion's not the guy making the engine go. Like Brandon Ingram is the really pretty of a car that makes it look nice and it looks cool, but Zion's the engine that makes it go. And if the engine's not revving, it's not really gonna matter at all. It's just not gonna matter. And I feel like that's what I'm looking at with New Orleans, where it's like they've got to figure that Zion thing out ASAP, or else, a lot of the shit is just not gonna matter.
What do you see them?
What were they last year? 31 and 41.
Mm-hmm. They were 11th. They were 11th in the standings.
They were 11th in the standings. So it's like, if Zion can be healthy, I think they make the 10th or the 9th seed. But if he's not, then they're like a 28, 29 win team.
He's already missing games. You got to remember that now.
Oh, I mean, I know he's missing games, but it's a 72 game season. So
no, I know.
You kind of have to balance that out with, like, I don't mind guys missing games before Christmas, honestly, because I don't really think the season starts too much until Christmas. But once we get to like Christmas, and between Christmas and Valentine's Day, it's like really when the meat and potatoes of the season really starts to get going before that break and then the stretch run. Like this first half of it, I'm like, this is when guys are kind of getting their wind back, getting their legs under them, recovering from injuries, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. For me, New Orleans' success hinges on Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
What Zion Williamson has added to his game. Because again, has he added anything to his game? Mm-hmm. Has he, learned different ways to be effective? Or is he just going to play the same way and become really predictable?
Yeah. Well, they said that there's no fixed timeline to his return. And he's going to get...
Which means he'll probably be back sometime around December.
Yeah. He's going to get more scans in 2 to 2.5 weeks. That was said 5 days ago.
Mm-hmm. So he'll be back around December.
Yeah. And at that point,
we all know that that's just a way for them to be like, we're not going to give you a timeline, but it's probably like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Could be 3 months, could be maybe even 4 months, but probably safe to say 2 months.
I agree. They go as where Zion goes, because again, like you said, he opens up the floor. But I too want to see if he improves. I want that jump shot. I don't want him being the next Blake Griffin. All he does is dunk. You know what I'm saying? I want him to have that dunk shot, that jump shot. That's what.
Or at least give me a hook shot.
Something.
Give me a floater.
Give me an 18-footer.
Give me.
You don't gotta go. You don't got. Yeah, you don't gotta be a Steph Curry, man. I don't want you to be a Steph Curry.
Yeah, no.
Give me a shot from the elbow.
A foul line shot.
Something. You know what I'm saying?
High post elbow. Give me a little something.
Yeah, a little side step, turn around. You know what I'm saying? Something to add to it. Where like, wait. Oh, you got a jump shot? Damn, so I really got to play D on you. I can't leave you open. I can't do the Ben Simmons D on you.
Or like if I'm hesitating, like you're going to jump because like with Zion, his arms are kind of short for a 6'6" guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So like, can he float it over a bigger guy? Because guys that are guarding him are 6'10".
Yeah.
Because remember, even he got exposed in college. And I think the NBA kind of now knows how to guard him. When you put length around Zion, it neutralizes him. So Zion's got to, again, learn how to play within the bounds of his body frame without jumping out the gym and trying to murder his legs.
Yeah.
But he also has to play against guys who are always going to be longer and taller than him. So, like, if you notice, Zion's game is very, like, he kind of knuckleballs it and grips the ball and then kind of lets it go. Like, I need floaters. I need finesse. I need touch from his game. Yeah. And that's what's really going to take his game to another level.
Yeah. And the thing is, I need to see it now. I don't need to wait for you to get to New York or wherever you want to go and see it then. No, do it now.
Because it's going to be too late at some point. Like you're going to start on growth. It's going to be too late.
Yeah. I see them at 12, maybe 11 spot. I don't see them getting into the play-in. I don't. It's the injury right now to Zion. And I think they're going to be cautious and they might shut him down if he's having issues with the foot. So
only reason why I said they would make the playoffs is because I'm trusting in the rest of the team to improve. Mm-hmm. Like, again, I don't know. Like Kira Lewis, I remember in college being talented, but I don't know how much of that talent is going to lead to production.
But here's
sat
And here's the thing,
Yeah.
like you said, if Ingram plateau, which is like you're saying, it looks like it because his points per game remains the same and all that. You can't go any further than what he can take you already as it is.
Well, again, if he plateaus, but everyone else kind of raises their game a little bit, then it pushes them because again, they only won 31 games, and that was with Zion moderately healthy. Mm-hmm. So I think they can probably match that with a not healthy Zion. Zion takes them from 31 games to possibly 42 games.
Yeah, but you got to remember too, you got OKC with Shy and everybody and their team.
Right.
So it's like that's why I don't see them passing OKC.
Right. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't see them beating teams by themselves, but there are those, like, I'm looking at it from the sense of like, okay, if Zion misses 2 months, that puts them at maybe like 7 games won or whatever. Like they could rattle off another 7 or 8 games, or win like 6 of 7 or like 8 of 12 games in a row when Zion comes back. Mm-hmm. Because again, now the league has to readjust to Zion because he's going to come in like a bull in a china shop, and mm-hmm. guys are just not used to, like, unless you play Giannis regularly, you're not used to that play style.
Right.
So you have to get used to that play style again. And then once the league adjusts, then you'll start to see, those wins start to, they start to get blown out a little bit more, or like Zion starts to get in foul trouble, or Zion starts to get gassed or stuff like that. And then you'll start to see them lose games with more frequency.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how they've grown individually and as a team with and without Zion.
Right. Right.
Next team up, the San Antonio Spurs.
It breaks my heart to see them like this. But I honestly think that they are bottoming out. They are probably going to win like 22 games. I just don't see them having the talent necessary to compete right now. Like, this is probably when you see like Greg Popovich go off to pasture. That entire franchise needs a complete reset.
Well, he's retiring. They said that he's retiring in a year or two.
Right.
The Spurs organization is already preparing for that to happen in a year or two. They're not saying if it's a year or like when, but they're saying it's between a year or two.
And I'm sure he's either gonna go into the front office or go off to pasture.
He'll probably. I think he'll go. He'll get away from basketball for a couple of years, and then he'll come back
like a GM role or something.
Yeah.
I think so. But to me, then that to me, it kind of, I think it's best for them to finally bottom out.
I mean,
because
who do you have on here besides DeJounte Murray?
That's my point. That's exactly why I think they need to bottom out.
Yeah.
Because they've been so good for so long, or they've been mediocre for so long, that they've not been able to accumulate talent. Like, let's remember, the only reason why they got Kawhi Leonard is because they traded up to get him.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi Leonard's original pick was for Indiana when Paul George was there, which is ironic because now they actually are playing together. But so
this might be the team that falls out of the play-in spot. I have to agree with you. I'm looking at this roster. I'm just like, I
think we're looking at a lottery team.
They might be. They might end up being a lottery team. They might go.
I'm not even sure if they have a pick. I think they do. I hope they do.
I think they do because I'll check it later. But I mean, I'm looking here. I'm like, okay, who do you have? Where are you? Keldon Johnson? I don't. I see him as a role player more than anything. I don't see him as like a breakout star like that. DeJounte Murray is the team. It's all around him.
And it's not saying much because he's good, not great. He's a complimentary piece at best.
He's a Robin on like another team like a Nets or Lakers that has an established star. He's a Robin. You put him on a team like this, he's their Batman, but he's like Bruce Wayne, like he was 60. retired Batman, like in his wheelchair.
He reminds me a lot of like
because he don't got it.
Yeah, no, he's just not that guy. He's not that guy, and it's okay to not be that guy. That's how I look at it. It's okay to not be that guy.
Yeah, I think we're like pretty much this is an easy one for us.
Yeah, like that's a gimme to me anyway.
Yeah. So the next team is going to be a team that we've been trying to see when they will get healthy, and they finally are. The Golden State Warriors.
That's the top 3 team.
Well,
I'll put it this way: they're a top 5 team if Clay isn't 100%, but he can give you a little bit. Top 5 team. If Clay is healthy, top 3 team. Top 3 team. Because I think with Clay healthy, they're better than Phoenix. So that's how I'm kind of looking at it. They're better than Phoenix. I think with a healthy Steph and a healthy Clay and a healthy Draymond, they could make a run at that number 1 seed, because as talented as the Lakers are, it's hard for me to sit up here and say that they are a bona fide number 1 seed. I think they're the team that you look at like, oh yeah, like they can be in the playoffs in the end, and they'll probably make it to the finals, but will they do it as a number 1 seed? No, not at all.
Yeah, I see them coming. Here's the thing, because I'm looking at what the top 6 teams were, and there's only one team I can see falling out of there. So I can see them being in the top 6, where that's a team that doesn't have to play it. I could see them going up. So they're pretty much going up from the 9, somewhere in between the 3 and the 6. They're not going to be the 1 or 2. I don't see that happening. And I'll get to that later. We'll get to that. I'll get to that later. Why? I see them falling between the 3 and the 6. That's where I see them falling. If everybody stays healthy, if Clay comes back as the way he is, and that's gonna be an interesting one to watch, because like I was telling everybody's like, oh, he tore his Achilles and so did KD. I was like, yeah, but the different players. I wasn't worried about KD.
Explosive, different level of explosiveness, different role on the team, different body types. Like they're just so different.
Yeah, I was like,
so different.
I wasn't worried.
And also, I think he blew out his Achilles after he was coming back from the ACL injury. So it's like,
yeah,
there's also that too, where like he had 2 major injuries back to back. Like he's gonna lose something
on the same leg. On the same leg.
So you're gonna lose something.
And here's what I'm
specifically, I don't know.
Yeah, and here's what I'm looking at is how is his defense gonna be? Can he shuffle side to side like he could before? And if he can, is it gonna be like one side gonna be stronger than the other one? Because the one side is the side where he had the injuries in the leg. You know, how is he gonna be? Like he looks good in the gym, you know what I'm saying? But that's different when you're actually playing.
Wait, you know, he's another guy that I'm like, I'm not too worried about it. I'm not gonna really judge it until like March, April, maybe, because it's gonna take him that long to.
It's been 2 years.
But that's the thing. It's been 2 years for the ACL. Not for the Achilles. It's been a year for the Achilles.
Oh, what I'm talking about 2 years. I'm like talking about 2 years since he's played.
No, but I'm saying,
yeah.
I look at it not so much of when he's played, because again, his game is so pure and so simple that this man is gonna have the same game when he's 50 years old. Like his game's not gonna change much.
Yeah, it's just the rust he has to knock off from not playing. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, and it has to be like, okay, can I trust my knee? Can I trust my Achilles? Can I still run up and down the court? Do I still have the gas to, like, when I'm running down the court, catch, shoot, finish, or catch, dribble, get up? Can he even still dunk?
Yeah.
You know,
that's how he hurt his ACL.
Right.
It was on that
he started dunking too much, and it's like you got out of pocket, my G. Like that's the problem. You got out of hand. You stepped out of your assignment and you decided to get cute, and that's exactly why your ass was on injury reserve.
And there's a reason why Steph stopped doing that stuff because his ankles.
That's I'm like, all right, say that shit for the fucking All-Star game, but other than that, stop that shit.
Yeah,
that's not you. Stop that shit.
Yeah, so I see them like between 3 and 6, you know. And like I said,
I'm looking at 1 and 2, and I'm like, who the fuck? I'm sorry. Between the fact that their young core has now had 2 years to get better, they got another splash bro. I forgot what the fuck the little motherfucking name is. They got another splash bro.
I was talking to my cousin Poole. I think it was Poole.
Yeah,
the splash.
Another little motherfucker that can knock shit down.
The cousin. He said this is a cousin. He's a splash cousin.
and then you got, and again, even though they were a bad team, you know, you still got that really good rookie that's like a do-it-all kind of rookie. Kuminga.
Kuminga, yeah.
Kuminga. You still have Wiseman, and that's what people forget. You got Wiseman who got.
I'm glad.
A year. Yeah,
and Wiggins.
You have a legit center who's, you know, for all intents and purposes going to be like your anchor. You still have Wiggins, who's now vaccinated, so he can play everywhere. So again, as much as Klay's talent is going to push them over the top, the reason why I say I'm not worried until March, April is because Klay won't have to be Klay until you're fighting for playoff seeding.
Bro,
and until because Steph came back and was Steph.
Yeah.
Right? Wiggins is going to be Wiggins, as much as we shit on him because he was supposed to be T-Mac, he's still a solid 22, 23 point a game, you know, scorer.
He's better than if you take like
he's better than a lot of people give him credit for.
Like, here's the thing: if you look at okay, who the Warriors got? The Warriors got Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, a healthy Klay Thompson. All right, who's their number 3?
In terms of like points,
who's their number 3?
It'd be Andrew Wiggins.
Okay, compare Andrew Wiggins to anybody else's number 3 on any other team.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
The last time you had a number 3 that was that productive, you would have to look at Chris Bosh, who was technically a number 1 for technically LeBron was the number 3 on that team. If we want to be serious, because it was Chris Bosh, then it was D Wade, and then it was LeBron, and they switched it. It was Chris Bosh,
people feelings will get hurt.
LeBron, and then D Wade. Like, if you actually watch it, it's like LeBron and D Wade didn't really do jack shit until like March. But they're like, we're gonna give you a couple of little splash plays here. But it wasn't until like they had to do like the redemption tour where you seen them really fucking people up, and then the next year they took their foot off the gas pedal. It was like, all right, we just want to chill in the players. We showed y'all what we can do.
Yeah, and this team is dangerous.
So it's like now you're looking at it from a situation like I can even look at it this way: like you have Steph, you have Wiggins, you have
Klay.
Hopefully, you have like Wiseman be the third guy. Then you have Draymond. So Klay doesn't technically have to be a 2. He can be your 5.
Wait, here's the thing. Then you got this new kid, Jordan Poole, right?
And you have to play.
Then they also drafted Moses Moody.
Yeah.
It's like,
and then on top of that, you have a Swiss Army knife and Kuminga that you can mold defensively. And then you still have Draymond Green as a mentor. And then you still have Wiseman as a defensive guy. So it's like they don't need Klay to be Klay.
I'm sitting here.
You need Klay for the run where who are the guys that you trust to go to war with?
Here's the thing. People don't realize this, but them having these issues the last 2 years, they
saved their dynasty.
They probably retooled for the dynasty all over again with Moody, Poole, Wiggins in there too, and Kuminga and Wiseman. That's 5. That's a starting team right there. All young cats.
Yep.
And the thing
about this, Steph and Klay still have a good 2-3 years left. That's what I'm saying. Like,
and here's the thing: people are gonna be like, "It's a super
32.
team."
Clay's 29.
Yeah, people
so
like, oh,
Clay's not even 30 yet.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, it's a super team. No, man, they can't be because they drafted the players.
They drafted every single one of those guys.
All of these guys they've drafted. The only one they brought in that's not drafted is Wiggins. That's it. Everybody else was drafted. They drafted everybody. And during their dynasty, their top players were all drafted. Harrison Barnes was theirs. He left because he wanted to get paid. I don't blame the man. Go get paid. You deserved it. You know what I'm saying?
I think he's on Sacramento now.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Damn.
So, yeah. And they got Iggy back too. So they got like leaders. Bro,
and then they bought Iggy back to Golden State. So again, that's why I'm not that like Clay coming back this year. Like you can work Clay back into the rotation because you don't need Clay until March. You really don't need Clay until June. If we're being honest.
I think his minutes will be limited. They'll slowly
I think they should.
And I agree.
There's no reason to risk injury.
Nothing, no whatsoever. I think they have enough firepower to get there with Wiggins, Curry, Green, Moody, Kuminga, Poole, and Wiseman. Oh, Otto Porter Jr. as well as another veteran they got in there too. Just like
Otto Porter Jr. is trash, but yeah.
I mean, he's not required to be like a big option. Come off the bench, give you 5 points, 6 points. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't.
Yeah,
he's their JaVale McGee.
Pretty much. Like he's one of those guys where like he just needs to resurrect his career, shut the fuck up, and smile. Like just stay over there.
So yeah.
That being said, like I could see them easily getting over 50 wins. Easily.
So do I. They had 39 last year. They're gonna add at least like 15 to 20 wins.
Yeah.
From last year's record.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. So, all right. Next team where my favorite player playing right now plays on the Memphis Grizzlies.
They will literally get better just because they've gotten a year older. Like that's a team that's just going to keep getting better by virtue of the fact that they're just getting older. And then you add a veteran like Steven Adams to that grit and grind kind of mentality. And then, you know, you get a guy like Jared Jackson Jr. back and you broke him off. So now he's secure. He's paid. He's good. They're just like, they won 38 games. And I think they can get it up to 43, maybe 43. But notice I'm saying win numbers, not like where they're going to be placed at, because that one's tough because I think honestly, you look at just from dropping out of like the playoff seeding, I think Portland may drop. Dallas, I think, will definitely drop. The Lakers are going to jump. Golden State's going to jump. San Antonio is going to fall.
We had Oklahoma City, or you said Pelicans
possibly jumping.
Yeah,
right. Oklahoma City and Pelicans probably getting the 9 and 10 seed.
Mm-hmm.
So like I could still see Memphis in like that 8-7 spot still, but I see them with more wins.
Yeah, here's my thing. I like Ja. He's my favorite player. He's explosive. I need to see him take better shots.
I'm not gonna lie to you, and this is the comparison you're gonna hate. John Morant reminds me so much of Zach Wilson. Where all you it's because you know what I'm gonna say.
It's a court Kingz, man. It's ain't nosebleeds, bro. Come on, man.
No, but I'm saying, like, I only say that because you look at both guys are young, explosive, and they give you all these great plays, but they need to master the boring stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If he can master the boring stuff, John Morant has no weakness.
No.
Like he's what you wanted from Derrick Rose if he was healthy. He's what you wanted Westbrook when his game is kind of more refined.
Mm-hmm.
Like John Morant has the potential to be an MVP candidate in a year or two.
Yeah. My thing is
but
like if you watch his game,
know,
it's just erratic. I'm like, Ja, why are you taking that shot, bro? There's no
exactly. Like
need.
again, you just have to get good at the boring shit.
Yeah.
Like learn to take the floater, learn to make the extra pass, learn to make, just he's got to learn to change gears. That's what it is. He has to learn to change gears. He can't always be on 11. Like
I
he's
was
got to
about to
learn
say
when
that.
to be slow, speed up, stop, take a floater.
He's got to know when to change the pace.
Layup. Yeah. And then like there are certain parts of the game where you have to go and you have to attack and put your ears back and just go. Mm-hmm. And then there are certain times where you have to fake it, pull back, and then let one of your other guys like either backdoor cut or let one of your other guys come down the court and just hand it off to him. Like it's the little things that he's going to have to master. And it's about seeing if he can master those, because Jared Jackson is one of the best stretch bigs in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to put some more finesse to his game? I don't know, because he's coming back from being hurt. So I don't know what he's going to look like. Worst case scenario, you get another guy who's a knockdown shooter, which is what Memphis needed. They needed a knockdown guy to open the floor up. He's going to be a pick and pop guy with Ja Morant. So for me, like that puts them at least at 43 wins, at least, which I think puts them somewhere between the 6th and the 8th spot, which I think is pretty good for them right now. They're still young. Like, is Dylan Brooks going to be anything more than, I can't even call him a Robin. Like he's more of a Red Hood, where like you want him to be a Robin, but he's also kind of just out there. Where like I want him to give me 19, and I want him to be like that backcourt sidekick.
It's that inconsistency.
Yeah, but then it's like
he
1 minute he'll give you 19, the next minute he'll give you 6 points, and then the next game he'll give you 18. Next game he'll give you 3 points, and it's like, fam, I just need, like, even if it's not a high number, I just need a through line. Like, give me 11 to 15.
I need to know if you're playing tonight, I can count on like 12 points from you.
Yeah, 12 points, 2 threes at least, and some really good defense and some hustle plays. Yeah. Like if I know that, then it's like, all right, cool. You can gauge like if he's going to give me 12, if he's having a good night and he's like, okay, 15, 16, because like he showed last season, like he can get to 16, 17, 18, 19 points where Ja Morant doesn't have to give you 25 now. Like now he can give you 19 and 12. And then Jared Jackson comes back. So that's another guy that can give you 19 and 12. And now you have your anchor in Steven Adams that isn't going to give you a lot of good points, but it's going to get you a lot of putbacks, going to set hard screens, going to play well on the offensive board, defensive board, box guys out. So it opens the floor up for the rest of you guys.
I think that's something people need to watch out is some screens, pick and rolls, him and Ja going to be playing off. And that's going to save Ja a lot. And that's going to, I think that's going to open up his game a lot more. That's where he needs that jump shot.
Right. That pull up.
Shot. Yeah. Because after a certain point, it's like, bro, I'm sorry, man. Even if I'm playing basketball, I don't want to run into Steven Adams at a certain point.
No, fuck no. No. You know what I'm saying? Man, after the first screen is, yo, coach, give me out. No.
I'd be like that. Like, Steven, come on, bro. Can you take it easy at least?
Like, give me out the fucking game, coach. Like, I'm going to sit on the bench. This is bullshit. I'm not doing this.
That man made a killing on just setting screens, bro. And I don't blame him, because if you can set a good screen, it's a lot.
You know, especially look at what he did for Westbrook's game, like when he got that first triple-double season. Like that was with Steve Adams.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of got to look at, you know, he took Westbrook's game to a different level, but it's because Westbrook knew how to, well, one, his mid-range shot was going in, but, you know, it was a mid-range shot. It was a floater. It was the pull-ups. It was all those things that really helped elevate Westbrook's game, along with the dunks and the highlight plays and all that other stuff.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. So, what do you see the Grizzlies coming over at before we go on to the next team?
That's a 6 to 8.
6 to 8?
6 to 9. 6 to 8, 6 to 9, like 43 wins.
I see them between 5 and 7, maybe 8, which is what they ended up
Okay.
last year. Around
Right.
there, playing those 4 positions, somewhere around there.
Right.
So, and if they fall between 5 and 6, they avoid the play-in games. So let's see if they can do that. They're gonna want to because they were close at winning the game last year, but it's just,
Yeah, like you don't want to be a guy. You don't want to be the guys that are like known for the play-in tournament. You don't want to be those guys.
No. All right, moving on. Let's go to Team AARP, the LA Lakers.
My biggest thing with the Lakers is they're not built for the regular season. So how they end up, to me, depends on the health at the end of the regular season. Because they're not built for the regular season. They're built to find chemistry, win games off talent, get the young guys going. Like you got like the Chris Nunns and the Rondos, and you got those kind of guys are the guys that you're going to play through the regular season a lot. I'm not looking for big numbers. I know AD said that, or I think Rondo said that a successful season is getting AD to be the MVP. And I'm fine with that if AD can stay healthy. That's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, AD and LeBron, because LeBron got hurt too.
I'm not worried about LeBron because I don't think you need LeBron to be LeBron until the postseason. That's what I'm saying. There's certain guys that like I'm looking at like they're gonna need you in the regular season. Like Melo, Braun, Dwight, those guys, you need them for the postseason. The regular season, what they do in the regular season is kind of here nor there. It's a little, to me, it's pretty much irrelevant because their biggest impact is going to come when you need buckets, when you need points, when you need a guy to stare down the barrel of a gun and make something happen out of nothing. When the game slows down and the game turns into half court, like that's when you're going to need those veteran guys that know how to sacrifice, that know how to make plays, that know how to make shots. And they have all the guys on this roster, but you don't need them for the regular season. So, like, I'd still see the Lakers winning 50 games, 53 games, maybe.
So 10 more.
Yeah, like I can see them winning 10 more games, but like that's why I said like they could definitely be a number 1 seed because of how competitive the West is. Like they could stumble into the number 1 seed is what I mean. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think they're gonna play to get chemistry, they're gonna play to get their guys going, but they do, like it's like you kind of have to play around Westbrook and AD and sprinkle the other guys kind of in just so that like you stay afloat. And that may, mess around and get them 50 plus wins. But the Lakers are going to earn, or you're going to figure out if this offseason was worth it in the postseason. That's why I look at the Lakers like you're purely a postseason team. Like I don't really care about you in the regular season, honestly, because it doesn't matter where you end up.
Here's what I'm looking at for them is what is Russ going to do for you? And here's why.
WWRD.
Because of the fact that now he's playing with LeBron. Now he's playing with AD. Now he's got Melo on the outside. You got 2 guys in LeBron and AD that are ball dominant. You are not supposed on this team, Russell Westbrook, I'm talking to you. On this team, you are not supposed to be averaging a triple-double. You are not.
Unless it's like a low-end triple-double, like 12, 11, and 10 type shit.
Yeah, at that point, I get it. But you're not supposed to be getting like 30 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists. No. If you get a triple-double on this squad, it's like 15 points, 15 assists, and like maybe 10, 11, 12 rebounds. You're not going to be getting, like Jay said, you're not going to be getting high count triple-doubles. No. This is where I'm interested in seeing is how he works with the others, because he's never played with these type of players like this. He's played with KD, But let's get
But
get
they
it
were
right.
both really young.
But not just that, KD is not the same like LeBron.
No.
KD will be like, all right, whatever, man. We'll fuck it. We'll figure it out later. We'll talk later. He's not. Look at what happened with LeBron and JR. Can you imagine if Russell
really
does some shit? If Russell does some shit, you think LeBron ain't gonna say nothing to him?
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely gonna let him have it.
So, and Russ ain't gonna be quiet either.
Right.
So if they can't build anything by December, and if things are going bad, I could see Russ getting traded.
Yeah, I can see it.
I could see him getting traded just to establish the season. Now, who are they going to get in return? I have no idea.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Because of the fact that you need somebody that's going to take Russell.
Yeah,
who wants Russell?
Yeah, I don't.
They put themselves in a tight spot with Russell. Russell's talented, but he's not for everybody, though.
Yeah,
he's not for everybody. You know, I think when they got Russell, it was a desperation move to try and match.
I forgot who they were trying to go and get. They actually had somebody else that was supposed to be there that they were going to go and get, but they decided to go and get Russell. But somebody else they were supposed to go and get, and I don't remember who it was. Who I saw in the report.
It was
somebody major.
I can't remember either. It was somebody else that I was like, shit, if they get him, it's gonna. I think it was Kyle Lowry they were going after.
I think it was Kyle Lowry.
I think it was Kyle Lowry. And if they got Kyle Lowry, oh man. Because Kyle doesn't give a damn about passing you the ball the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
He don't care
about getting. He's like, as long as I win, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He wants to win. He's a better fit for this team than Russ.
And he's also a better shooter, so that's the biggest thing too.
Yeah, I think the Russell move was a knee-jerk reaction to the Nets because of the fact that they're looking at like, crap, if we have to face the Nets, we don't have an actual 3 to go against them.
Right.
You know, and I think they just went off on the bad side because this is why you don't do knee-jerk reactions, because now look at what the Nets are in.
Right. But this is also why I said it wouldn't surprise me if Golden State got the first seed again, is because now I'm kind of looking at like the numbers and the teams that are competitive. You're not going to get, like, you can get a team that wins 53 games and still ends up as a 3rd seed, you know?
I might have to agree with you. I might have to say that I might have to put the Warriors up where they can go anywhere between 1 and 4 now.
Yeah. Cause it's like, I'm looking at the 1 and 4 and I'm like, 3 of those teams probably are going to drop. It's like,
yeah, the Lakers, depending, there's too many variants. I don't see them as they're number 1. I don't. They can go,
that's why I said they can stumble into it by accident.
Yeah.
But they're more likely to be like a 2 to what?
I also see them.
I just got some James Harden news. Sorry, I just saw something on Twitter.
No worries. I also see them like the Warriors, like 1 and 4, somewhere between there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you got to look at injuries may happen, so they might lose some games that they shouldn't be. They might hit a bad patch, whatever. It happens to anybody. Nothing to be worried about. But also, again, like I was saying, if this Russell experiment goes bad, how many losses are they going to eat before they actually decide to move on? And if they can move on.
Right.
You know, so yeah, this is going to be interesting. You know, as LeBron goes for another ring, and let's see if some of these guys can get get to the finals with this team. Russell wants his first chip. Let's see if he'll put the sacrifice. If he'll sacrifice his ego and everything else.
That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing.
You know. So, all right, the next team is the man behind me, the Portland Trailblazers. And
I don't know, man. This is another one that's tough because I just question the talent around him. Like, you got to look at CJ's health. I mean,
this is a badly managed team.
Small,
badly managed team.
You know, like
CJ could ball. He can play out, shoot lights out, but he's not worth that money though.
No, he's not.
He's not.
And they lack size. And that's the biggest thing. They lack so much size. And the key for me, honestly, Nurk can't keep getting hurt. If they want to be successful, Nurkic cannot continue to be out 20 games, 15 games, 25 games. It can't happen. Because Nurkic was right there with Joker for a while and then went to Portland and his career completely tanked. And it's just like, it sucks that Portland is a completely different team when Nurkic is on the floor because Nurkic handles the rebounds. He handles those types of blocks that aren't the flashy shot blocks, but like I'm gonna play a guy straight up and then I'm gonna stop him. Like Nurk is that guy that solidifies the middle, and now his backup is what, Larry Nance Jr. Like, oh, love to Larry Nance, like he's a pogo stick, but he's paperweight on defense. And then for me, it's like, yeah, they got Ben McLemore, so that's another shooter. Cool. What is their plan with Anthony Simmons? Like, what is he for them? That's my question. Dennis Smith Jr. made the team, so like that's great. Like you have another guy that can actually spell Dame. Like you can get a guy that can legitimately give you 10 to 20 minutes. If you finally unlocked Dennis Smith Jr. like they say they have, Dame, like you can give Dame 10 to 20 minutes where he can take a blow and he can be more healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like at your 3 spot, like your 3-4 spot, you have what? Cody Zeller, Robert Covington, Nurk, you got Norman Powell, who's more so a guard. You have Nasir Little because you don't really know what you're going to get out of him because at the end of the day, he looked big in North Carolina, but he's 6'5", not 6'7".
Right.
So, what are you getting out of this? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just not enough talent and there's not enough size. There's not enough defense. There's Dame, there's CJ, but there's not enough after that. And I think too many teams got better for Portland to end up where they ended up last year. Like they ended up as a 6 seed. I don't see that happening. I see Portland 100% at best being a play-in team.
Here's the thing. I think they should have kept Gary Trent Jr.
I agree. They needed a shooter.
But their whole thing was they wanted defense, Norman Powell. Like you can't have it all. You can't.
No.
You need
where they need the defense is not where they got it. They need a 3. They need a 3-4-5 kind of player. Mm-hmm. And they don't have it.
Nope.
They don't have it. They don't have the versatility. They don't have the mobility. They just they're very like either they're gonna beat you by shooting your lights out, or they're gonna get smoked by teams that are gonna bully them in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a team that's literally gonna have to live by the 3 and die by the 3.
Yeah, and this man right here behind me
is gonna have to save them a lot.
No, he's gonna be looking to be out.
We'll see.
He's looking to be out. Might not be.
He's saying all the right things. And, and Dame just don't seem like that. Like he seems very much like Giannis to me, where he's like, I don't know what everybody's talking about. Like, I'm good. I'm chilling. Like, I'm not leaving.
No, he said, we'll see what happens this year. We'll see.
He also just said today where he was like, I'm not leaving Portland. Stop with the bullshit. Stop with the presses. I'm not leaving.
Okay. He changed his tune. I wonder why.
He changed his tune, but then like, again, it's going to change again come February.
Yeah.
Come to trade deadline. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't, they don't have enough forces. They don't have enough balance. They just don't have enough.
No, this team was poorly managed. They had the ability, the chance to improve around him, but they just mismatched everything. everything. And I think, unlike Giannis, I think he's going to be like, nah, I don't got time for this. I can't sit here and wait. You know, I need to figure something else out, you know. And I think he's going to leave.
I think at best they repeat as a 6 seed. At worst, they bottom out as like a 10th seed, just because of everybody else getting better. So it's like I think they may win 38 games again. Mm-hmm. They may win 42 games. They may at max win 44. Mm-hmm. But I don't see them being much better than what they are now.
Because you have to remember, Giannis is like, I think 27.
Something like that.
Yeah. Dame is 31.
Yep.
He's like, nah. Don't be surprised if his name starts to be.
His name is going to be floated around from now until he retires.
I know, but I'm saying don't be surprised if his name gets floated around with like the Sixers or the Nets. I want to say the Knicks, but the thing is, I don't think that the Knicks will actually be doing that because of the fact they have a backcourt already. There's no need to get a Dame for that, and to be honest. Mm-hmm. So if
it's not a necessity, and all it would do would mess up the chemistry.
Yeah, if Dame and the Knicks are thrown in there, it's because that's the media trying to stir something up. But I don't really think the Knicks will be doing that.
It would have to, like, the Kemba experiment would have to be like, Kemba isn't working, D Rose is hurt, Quickly isn't what you thought he was, and none of the new guys. Like, so many things would have to go wrong for this to be a legitimate possibility.
And they have to do a knee-jerk reaction, which I don't think they're going to do, because
I don't think they're not built like that.
The one thing I'll give the Knicks credit, this offseason was completely different than what they've done in the last few years. Mm-hmm. They didn't go crazy splurging money. They re-signed who they needed to re-sign. They brought in who they needed to bring in.
And they shut the fuck up, shut the doors, and went about their business.
Yep. They ain't overpaid for nobody.
Jack shit about the Knicks all season.
And I told you, I was like, yo, the Knicks are actually doing some smart shit. I think JD's been working with them, because I was like, yo, they didn't do nothing stupid. That was my concern with them, is they do something stupid and trade some of the young class they got, because they got good young cats. We'll talk about it tomorrow or when we do the Eastern Conference preview. But the Knicks is the team to watch, and I'll tell y'all why. And I'm not a Knicks fan.
Not even. Like, we are on two completely different sides of the river on this one.
Yeah.
But we've actually been in lockstep about both teams.
Yeah. But going back to this, so I can see the Portland Blazers, the Trailblazers, being like a play-in team this year.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that
unfortunately.
Because I think they got lucky getting into that 6th seed. Mm-hmm. I honestly think it was luck, because you got to remember, the Lakers, they were hurting. They went into the playoffs last year limping. Mm-hmm. You know, who else?
Same thing with Golden State. Golden State just didn't have enough horses for long enough.
So here's the thing: Portland was 42-30. The Lakers were too, but the only reason the Blazers went above them was because they had a better division record.
Mm-hmm. Which, in the NBA, the fact that they're even counting division records is ridiculous. But
right, the only reason they got out of the play-in bracket was because of tiebreakers. That's it. That ain't gonna happen this year. If they're in the playoffs, they in the play-in bracket. Mm-hmm. And the like we were saying earlier, Golden State, they ain't gonna be in the play-in bracket this year.
The Lakers probably ain't gonna be in the
Lakers. No, either. Those two are not gonna be. Those two are jumping up.
Shit, Memphis might not be.
Memphis might not be either. And this is crazy, because now we got to figure out who's jumping down. And I think it's Portland.
I think it's a lot of teams that got lucky last year.
And the next team we're about to talk about is another one that got lucky with the same record that was lucky as well too. The Dallas Mavericks.
See, and the stuff I've been hearing out of Dallas.
Oh, dude.
Oh my God.
They're good. I'll end it right now, and they're going to be another playoff bracket team.
They're going to be like,
if they're lucky.
Like, I've been hearing so many, like, to me, when there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
And I've heard issues with Luka from from the fact that he, from a personality standpoint, still isn't putting in the work. Anywhere from he isn't putting in the work to like you can. I saw somebody like make an actual reel about it, how he blatantly does not pass the ball to open teammates. Like he'll look at open teammates and will not pass the ball, trying to get to the line to pad stats. And if the pass isn't pretty looking, if it isn't flashy, he's not going to make it. And then I've heard issues with him and Porzingis, which Mark Cuban has now come out and kind of tried to squell. But for me, if your owner is your biggest mouthpiece to be like, no, nothing's going on, it's like, you wouldn't admit that if it was a problem. So why is this a problem? Like coming out, like this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I'm not even gonna lie to you, they've put a patchwork team together of a bunch of former Knicks where I'm kind of questioning, like, did your advanced stats people like just be like, well, they mismanaged that team over here, so we're gonna bring them over here and try to make it work? Because that's what it feels like. They picked up Frank Ntilikina. They have Tim Hardaway. They have Trey Burke. They have somebody else over there who I can't think of right now. All former Knicks. And I'm just like, how does this help you? You still, to me, don't even have a starting point guard. Unless you're going to count Luka as your point guard. But then at that point, then you don't really have a starting two.
Reggie Bullock.
Sure. Yeah, and then that was the fourth guy. Reggie Bullock was the fourth guy. You know, it's just the team doesn't make just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because now you have a gluttony of bigs, but then again, all your bigs are always hurt, so I understand it. You have Jalen Brunson, Frank Ntilikina, Dorian Finney-Smith, all guys who are guys but are suspect shooters. Like, you have Kristaps, who you really don't know what the hell you're going to get from Kristaps from one year to another. So, like, Dallas to me is the team I'm looking at where it's like, yeah, you guys are definitely falling. You guys got lucky last year. You guys are not winning 42 games again. I'm sorry. Like closer to 30, 36, 37 games, probably. They'll probably be like fighting with like trying to fight off New Orleans, or maybe even fighting off like Minnesota or something, or Oklahoma City for like a play-in spot or some shit like that.
Yeah, it's
because again, Luka's not getting any more athletic. So really, how much can his game get better? Not really sure.
Luka. So, all right, this is where I look at it. Luka is where Trey is supposed to be, but Luka, I think, has hit his he's hit his limit. But Trey, you just don't know what his limit is yet.
Right, because of the fact of Trey has the benefit of being small and shifty. So
he's more
being
athletic.
Small allows you to create angles that aren't there for Luka. And then everyone feels the need to be more physical with Luka, because unlike Trey, he doesn't have that stop and floater, that stop finish that he usually does, that Trey can no longer use now, thank God, because they took it out of the game. But like those things that those little maneuvers that Trey has used to get himself to the free throw line, Luka kind of doesn't have, but the finesse, strength, kind of up the middle finishes that Luka has, Trey doesn't have, if that makes sense. No, but yeah, I think Dallas definitely falls off.
Yeah, so do I. I won't be surprised because of the fact that that team is going as far as Luka goes, and the Porzingis drama is just a lot. And
right,
I heard he wants out, but they're trying to keep him because they need somebody else. But that's going to be interesting to watch. And I think that drama is not going to be out in the limelight because of you have what's going on in Brooklyn, what's going on in Philly. You have
like I said, at the end of the day, it's Dallas, so they're not a huge market.
No.
So And people are happy about the Cowboys winning right now, so they're not going to pay attention to the Mavericks that much.
No. Before they used to, because Cowboys weren't
because
winning.
of Dirk and because Dallas was ass.
Yeah, Cowboys were just ass. So it is what it is. But yeah, I see them in the playing bracket, but like the lower end. Like again, I agree. They might have to fend off the Pelicans and the Thunder.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Unless they lock in the number 8, but I don't think they're going to even be at that point.
So, update, Steph drops a triple-double and leads the Golden State to a second half comeback to beat the Lakers 121-114.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that one. And did you see who else is putting points on for the Warriors?
Nope.
Jordan Poole, the splash cousin.
Mm-hmm.
And then one guy I didn't even think about, Damian Lee put up 15. So did Belgica. Yeah. Belgica and Damian Lee put 15 points each. And Iggy put up 12.
So pretty much like we were saying, Golden State is just fucking deep. Like they're not only talented and they're not only top heavy, but now they're deep as fuck.
And Wiggins put up 12.
Yeah. So they're just deep as fuck at this point.
Yeah.
And
Moody
LeBron
only
had
played
to put
6
up,
minutes.
Like LeBron had to put up 34, 5, and 11.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Like if LeBron is the guy putting up all those heavy numbers, it's like
AD had to put 33.
You can't do that. AD put up 33, but nobody else gave him anything. Like Westbrook was
4 for 13,
0 of 4, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. So like, yeah, they're gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah, and Russ had 4 turnovers.
So
LeBron did 2, but I mean, when LeBron's handling the ball as much as he does, it's bound to happen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's handling the ball as much as he is. So Russ has to clean up that field goal percentage. And it's probably because he's just chucking shots and he went 0 for 4 and a 3.
Right. So like we were saying earlier, like Golden State, to me, at least I'm like, it's not going to surprise me if Golden State goes back to being a 1 seed.
Mm-mm.
It's not going to be that big it's not going to be that big of a shock.
After going through the roster like we did, I was like, okay, I agree. They're going to fall between 1 and 3 for for whatever reason they go to 4, but one of the top 3 teams at least. Because of the fact again, look how deep it is, man. Like this is the first game alone, but I mean that's without Clay.
Right. That's without Clay. That's without Draymond. You didn't hear about Wiseman. You didn't hear about all the other guys that they still have.
Yeah. All right. So Moody only played 6 minutes, 2 points, 1 of 3. Wiseman didn't play. Kuminga didn't play. He wasn't on the game roster. Imagine when those 2 get on there.
Yep.
You're taking Porter out because Porter was there, and you're probably taking Gary Payton Jr. out of there.
They can beat you in waves. It's ridiculous. So like again, it's like they go up.
Hey,
the Lakers.
Put your second team against our second team. Let's see how it goes. Like damn.
Like, yeah. Okay. You gonna get your ass whooped? Like seriously, you gonna get your ass whooped? Yeah. But then like now you look at like okay, Golden State moves up. Lakers will probably move up. And so now you got to look at it from the standpoint of like, it looks to me like Dallas is going to drop. Portland's going to drop.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
San Antonio is going to fall off the planet.
Now here's the other team that it's interesting, and they may drop down or they may stay up in this part of the bracket is the Clippers.
They're tough because even if they drop, I don't think they drop below 6.
That's what I'm saying. It's like they're not going into the playoff bracket, but they're not a 1.
I don't think they got better.
No, I think they're going to benefit more of other teams getting better and other teams just like kind of like, hey, like last year was just like we got lucky last year. You know what I mean? Excuse me.
Right.
So I don't think they're gonna be between 4 and 6, and 4 is the highest they're gonna go, which is what they were last year.
Right. I just don't. Again, I as much as the Clippers will benefit from their young guys getting a year older, I don't think that they did a lot to improve themselves. Like they didn't add much of anything.
The only good thing about them is they actually found, well, they drafted my man from Florida State, Terrence Mann, and he showed up for them in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? But at that point, it's like, what did you do to improve after that? You found this kid, but what did you do?
And then they got that BJ Boston kid. That was supposed to be like a really high prospect that went to Kentucky last year. And now he's just a solid option that they're going to have to develop. So, again, the biggest thing for me with the Clippers is how much is Kawhi going to play? That's always the question now every year. How much is Kawhi going to play?
Yeah.
You guys can go go toe-to-toe with anybody if you have Kawhi. And is Paul George going to turn into, is he finally going to, become the Cinderella that we saw glimpses of in Indiana
before the
and
injury.
Golden State?
Mm-hmm.
Or is he going to be this guy that we see now, which isn't terrible? He still can give you 40 any given night. He can give you 50 any given night. But
is playoff P back?
Robin.
Is playoff P back? Like we saw glimpses. We saw it. Is he back though? Or was that just it?
Is he that dude? I hate to keep using comic book references, but is he Nightwing or is he still Robin? Like, because he damn sure ain't Batman. We know he's not Batman.
Oh, hell no.
Is he at least a Nightwing where like he can run the Teen Titans? Like, because Batman he ain't around these days, Batman show up when he want to show up.
Kawhi's like Kawhi. What the thing with Kawhi too is it's not just that. It's like, does he still have faith in the team?
Right.
It's not just the injury part, but does he still have faith in the team? Because I think last year when he got hurt, I think he could have come back and played, but I think he was like, I'm not gonna win with this team. I'm gonna kill myself. I'm gonna just take off.
I'm gonna see how y'all rock out, and if y'all rock out, then I'll come back and resign, which is what he did.
Yeah, because when Toronto, he was hurt, but he still played because he knew the team was good. So it's like he wasn't like I'm okay. He just didn't want to resign with it because he wanted to go back home. That's a different story.
He didn't want to have to deal with being in Canada, which I get it from a logistical standpoint, especially from a guy that's from the hood that isn't really into international travel. It's just about having his people around him.
And the taxes are high too.
And the taxes are high. So like they taxing the fuck out that check. Like I get it. I understand. Like LA taxes is high, but LA taxes ain't Canada taxes.
Oh hell no. Nah, people don't get it.
I understand.
Yeah.
Now here's the surprise team. Here's the team I've been waiting to get to. This is a team that I think can compete with Golden State for the number 1 seed. Denver.
The question with Denver, there's 2 questions I have with Denver. With 2 players. One, Jamal Murray how is he going to come back? That's number 1. Number 2, Michael Porter Jr.
Yep.
We paid you.
Yep.
All this money. Are you worth it?
Yep. That's it. Next team. That's it. I ain't got nothing else to say.
Because I agree. Because before Michael Porter Jr. showed up and started walling out, the question was, where's the help for Jamal Murray? Who is it? Michael Jr. showed up after he got hurt. All right, cool. Now he's there. Okay, now can you 2 play together? Now you got paid.
And
coming back.
And that's the thing. You already know what Joker gonna give you. So like, we ain't even considering Joker because we already know what the fuck he gonna do. Like,
he's gonna ball out. He always balls out.
He's always balls out. Whether he give you 12 points or 27 points, you gonna know that he was playing this game. I ain't worried about him.
Nope. And you got Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon just needs to be just like, hey, you know what? I'm here. Let me do what I got to do.
My man, just give me 15 to 17. That's it. Give me some explosive plays. Give me some steals.
A highlight reel.
Give me a highlight block. Like I need athletic plays from you. Like he needs to. I feel like he's the type of dude that needs to go back and watch film on Shawn Marion, because Shawn Marion was probably one of my favorite players because he didn't statistically. You look at his numbers, wasn't nothing to scoff at. But you watch what he did for those Phoenix teams and what he did for. I think when he won a championship, he was in Cleveland. Something like that.
Dallas, I think it was.
Dallas.
I think it was
right?
Dallas when they beat the
Just
Heatles.
the plays that he made that don't show up on the scorecard.
Yeah.
Those are the plays that Aaron Gordon needs to make for this team.
Mm-hmm. The interesting signing for them is Jeff Green, too.
Because, again, if Aaron Gordon don't know how to step the fuck up, we all know Jeff Green know how to play.
I know.
Jeff Green done play with the best of the best.
Oh,
he was cooking in Boston. He was killing in Boston.
Bro, when and
then
left
the heart condition happened. And I was just like, like he's a guy that you can't help but root for. Because it's like, damn, like
I wanted Ness to keep him. He
got rocked. He was fucking balling for the next last year. Like,
yeah, I was like, please resign him. Please resign him. Nico. I'm like, damn it. Like, I was like, shit. That's why I saw a resign I wanted in Brooklyn. And right now, what's going on? I really wish they had resigned him. So
he would have helped a lot.
Oh yeah. So Denver can be anywhere from 1 to 4 again.
I think Denver could be anywhere from 1 to 6 because I feel like if Jamal Murray doesn't come back and give you the 80% of Jamal Murray, and then you got to realize too, Michael Porter Jr. can't play any California games or New York games.
He didn't get his vax.
He said he doesn't believe in getting vaccinations because he got COVID twice.
Oh,
so he thinks he's immune.
Okay.
So that means he's not playing games against Sacramento. He's not playing home games against Sacramento, Golden State, both LA teams, Brooklyn, and New York. That is 6 teams he's not playing against. 3 of which, well, the California teams he plays 3 times. So that's 3, 6, 9. And then the New York teams, he plays once pretty much.
Yeah, so, and those games depend if they're home or away.
That's what I mean. He plays he's gonna miss at least one because they play the East Coast teams twice, one at home, one away.
Okay.
So he's guaranteed to miss those 2 games. I don't know what the balance is of how many games he plays away for the West Coast teams. So you can already chalk those up so he's not playing those. So that's my biggest thing with Michael Porter and this team is as the climate nationally changes in terms of vaccine mandates will determine either if he gets a vaccination or if he gets the Kyrie treatment. Because then that sets their whole progression back.
I don't think he'll get that because of the fact we're looking at there's not as many games. The Kyrie issue is because of the fact that you're looking at half of the games because they're home games,
plus the West Coast games.
Right. So it's like a little more than half, but still you're and that's not even talking about making the playoffs in the playoff games. So that was that's why I think Brooklyn did what they did. And I can't disagree with them.
Right. That I'm looking at Denver and I'm like, okay, he'll be able to play most of the games, but he may miss, I want to say 7 to 10 games, 7 to 12 games, just based off the vaccine mandate. But if they're in a tight race for, say, 3 to 6, and he doesn't have those games and they lose those games because he's not playing, that can set them all the way down to 6.
Right. Because
if they win like half of those games, they may end up at 4. But
because looking back, let's look back from 3 to 6. When last year Denver was a 47-25. The Clippers are 47-25. The Mavs and the Trailblazers and the Lakers, which is 5, 6, and 7, were all 42-30. So they can be in 3, 4, or they can fall like the same scenario as Dallas, Portland, and Lakers, be the same record tie, and because tiebreakers, they may go from 5 to 7.
All because he didn't play those games, and then could mess up and end up playing against a team that plays in a state that you can't play in because you're not vaccinated.
And the thing is, we don't know what's going to happen. A state can go in November and say it's mandated now. NBA can't do anything about it because they just have to
abide by the rules. So, that's the difficult part about Denver right now, because they have all the talent necessary to be a championship team.
Oh yeah.
It's just a matter of what is their availability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's going to be the interesting to watch part on that one. And now let's talk about the team that made it to the finals.
And the city that made it to the finals and lost twice in a year. Damn. Damn. Like, damn. That one stings.
Why you got to
bring it up, both man? Within a game. That's the crazy part. They were both within a game.
Why you got to bring that up, man? You can't go to Phoenix now.
Because I'm an asshole. Because I'm in New York. Because I'm an asshole. So I'm like, y'all can sit up there and be like, oh, yeah, we did great. Nigga, your city took a double loss.
Yo, I would have laughed if it was the women's team from Milwaukee. If they have one, I don't even know if they do, but if they
I don't think they have a team in Milwaukee.
I don't know because I don't watch WNBA. But if they had one and they lost to that team in Milwaukee, like damn.
Well, it's the same reason because they lost to Chicago, which is like right next to them.
Yeah, so
that's just damn.
So the best thing
then, the thing that sucks about Phoenix is they paid people, but they didn't pay their best guy. Like, I don't know what James Jones is thinking. Well, maybe we watched something different than, all the stuff that we saw going on behind the scenes. But it feels like DeAndre Ayton was a key part in getting them to that point. Maybe I'm wrong. That felt like DeAndre Ayton was definitely a key, like he was Robin for real.
He might. I think it's because he disappeared in the finals, but it's not that he disappeared. It's bro, you're playing against not just that, you're playing against Giannis, bro.
Like, bro, not to mention you look at his scout report. He's not a shot blocker.
Giannis,
he's not that guy.
Giannis is not a bum. He's not like just anybody. No way, man. And you want DeAndre to stop him? He did the best he could, bro. Giannis, he was still just like 23. He was in the zone, man. I mean, Giannis was in the zone.
Like, and he was like, and the thing is, Ayton's like 20, like 23, 24. Like, he's mad young.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it was because he said he wanted like a max. He wanted like the max.
Mm-hmm.
And Phoenix is like, no. Because I don't know if you're going to pay guys who can't shoot the max anymore. And I think that's what it turned into. Like, because you have to kind of, you're buying into futures with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, can Ayton be a modern day big? We don't know. His game is still a little too old school to invest 5 years, 125, 165, 175 $175 million. And you have to remember, he's also the first overall pick. So his max is not the same as some other maxes. It's a lot more. And he wants that. He said he wants Trae Young money. And you're not getting Trae Young money, bro. Like, you're not getting Trae Young money. And that's where the disconnect is. But they paid Mikal Bridges. They paid Landry Shamet, which was like,
it's that floor. They gotta get past that floor.
Listen, that's a weird flex, but you do you, boo. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
That's a weird flex, but
okay. Landry.
Like, hey, bro, I'm not mad at him. Like, him and his people, they got their money. Like, by all means.
Yep.
Just from a franchise standpoint, like, that's the nigga you want to pay?
Mm-hmm.
After giving Chris Paul, like, money. Like, they gave 30, what is he, like, 35, 34, 30, 36, 30. He's mid to late 30s. They broke that brother off like $120 million as soon as the offseason hit.
Mm-hmm.
Homeboy got broke off something crazy.
And he's 36.
And he's 36, so like,
and injury prone, especially in the playoffs.
So I'm like, like, I get it. You're trying to keep the window open, but if you're trying to keep the window open, you got to come to some kind of deal with Ayton. I'm sorry, because if this brother hit restricted free agency, he gonna go out there and get some money, and you either gonna have to match that or you gonna lose him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I got a feeling they're gonna match it.
And that's the thing. You may end up matching it, but then now you've shown him already like that's what y'all think of me. So like this smells. It may not be Ben Simmons bad, but it might be Buddy Hield bad.
I think what they're trying to do is they're hoping this is a bad. They're taking a gamble. If this is what I'm thinking, they're taking a gamble, and it's a bad gamble. I think they're gambling that
very bad gamble.
That his numbers are going to go down and be like, see, look, you had a bad season, you ain't worth that money, so let's drop that price and work with these numbers. And that's a bad gamble.
They're banking on Chris Paul regressing because
yeah,
Chris Paul was a very big key in him getting what he's getting, and then you got a lot of guys coming back from other teams, so they're definitely banking on his numbers dropping and like him not being that guy. But if he comes back and he's that dude, I mean, luckily he'll only be a restricted free agent, so like he doesn't have a lot of leverage.
But still though, it's like just be just be happy if he doesn't come back asking for more money.
Yeah, but I don't know if he can though. That's the thing, because he wanted the max. So it's like, worst case scenario, he lives up to it, and now they have to give him the max. But now he's looking at them sideways now.
Yeah.
So that's just and he could turn into a distraction. And we've already seen with Philly, like it only takes one guy to be a distraction that can fuck up the whole team.
But I don't think he's gonna be a distraction like Ben though. I don't think he'll be that bad.
I don't know. We don't know. That's what I'm saying.
That's true. I just don't think so, because this offseason he hasn't really pouted. He hasn't really said much.
Well, again, they were in negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's coming out now where it's like they're saying that they were in negotiations. He's saying negotiations were never taken seriously. So he was never seriously in negotiations with them. So now the back and forth is already starting. So maybe it's not Ben Simmons, but it might be an Anthony Davis.
Right.
Where like, you know, you may have to sign and trade him. Like they may end up losing him, but then end up signing and trading him or something like that. Like it could turn into something like that. And that's never a good thing.
So
and now finally,
you think they're gonna how far? I think they're gonna be like again. They're gonna drop. I think they're gonna drop. I don't.
Yeah, I see them as like a 4th or a 5th seed, maybe a 3rd seed.
I see them.
I don't see them winning 50 games again.
I see them in that 5-6 area.
And I don't know if they'll drop off that bad.
No. Here's the thing. If they drop to the playoff bracket, it's because of that tiebreaker stuff. Their record's tied and tiebreaker. That's the only reason why I see them going down to a 7. But I see them being 4-6, and again, it's one of those because of ties and the tiebreakers stuff like that.
Well, I think too, because I think they're gonna go down just based on the fact that other teams are getting better.
Oh, of course. And now,
and it's like, how are they going to play against other teams?
Yeah, because now a lot of teams are getting healthier or retooled, reloaded, and they pretty much stayed the same.
Right.
I think all they got was Landry Shamet, and that's it.
Yeah. And they signed that dude 3 years 4 years, $43 million, which is not that much, but like I didn't even think he'd get 10 grand. I mean, 10 million a year.
I didn't think so either. I was like,
they got him at like 10-8 or 11-2 or some shit like that. I was like, well, like I said, weird flex, but
yeah,
all right.
More power to you, boo boo.
Like, hey, bro, get your money, fam.
Yeah. All right, and now the team that was number 1 last year and just kind of dwindled out in the playoffs when they were close, the Utah Jazz.
This team is definitely falling.
I think they got lucky last year to get into number 1. A lot of things fell into place for them, but I think they're more again in that 4-5 area.
I don't remember if it was like 2008 or something, but remember when Atlanta had like Al Horford, Josh Smith, Joe Johnson, Jeff Teague, and they were magically like they went on this run and it got to like the number 1 seed. And next thing you know, the next year they were like the 6th seed, and they never really recovered. That's how I see Utah.
Yeah, because what happened was that team plateaued, and then again, they didn't improve much. So it's like everybody else improved, they didn't, and then boom.
But then also too, the playoff exposed Rudy Gobert.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's so, especially offensively, he's so one-dimensional. So it's like the guy who was once like a linchpin and the guy that really got people going in the regular season, that was really a catalyst for that team taking the next step, got exposed.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Mitchell cannot do it by himself. I mean, the man literally has done all that he could. And then as soon as he got hurt, it was game over.
Yeah, because
so now it's like that team can't go without Donovan Mitchell.
No, they have, because what they have,
and they Donovan don't even Mitchell. They don't have a Robin. They
no.
They have Crypto the Superdog. They don't even have.
All right, so here's who's you got Donovan Mitchell. Who's next? Joe English. He's a 3-point specialist. That's it.
Mike Conley.
Mike Conley is up in age. He's not like he used to be. If Mike Conley
12 point a year.
Yeah, if it was Mike Conley 10 years ago, I'd be like, all right, cool, bet. But it's not.
Yeah.
Rudy Gay, again. Rudy Gay 10, 15 years ago, sweet.
Oh, absolutely. Rudy Gay 10 years ago, we doing something. Now?
Yeah. No. Who do you have for that? Bojan Bogdanovic, again, another 3-point specialist. We got Royce O'Neal, Hassan Whiteside.
So again, I'm looking at him. Like, I'm looking at this roster kind of the same way I'm looking at Portland's, where it's like outside of your guy, like they don't even have a real number 2. Like
at least Portland has a number 2.
Right. Like they're a team that won because the whole was better than the sum of their parts.
I think Utah is again going to be one of those where they're going to get wins, and wherever they land between 4, 5, and 6, they're still not going to be worthy, because because playoff time, they might get swept.
Right.
They're like, it's that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, like you're saying, if Donovan Mitchell's not there, they got nothing. They've been exposed in the playoffs.
And Donovan Mitchell got beat up last year a lot. So you don't know what kind of Donovan Mitchell you're going to get this year, because you don't really even know how healthy he is coming into the season.
Because he got hurt. And he came back for that playoff game, for that playoff series.
And got hurt again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, bro, like, I feel for him, because like he's a Mount Vernon kid. So like I want him to come home. Like, don't get me wrong, I want Donovan Mitchell on the Knicks. That true. You can quote me now. I want Donovan Mitchell on the Knicks. Straight up.
Him in the Garden would be nice to see.
That's what I'm saying. Like, imagine a lineup with Kemba, Donovan Mitchell, RJ, Julius, and Julius and freaking Mitch. Like, the Garden would be jumping with that one.
Oh, that rivalry between Knicks and Nets would be nasty. It's like you can't.
The rivalry with the Knicks and everybody at this point. I think honestly the biggest rivalry with the Knicks is with Atlanta, because they want to shut Trae Young up. And he just posted a picture of him in a Reggie Miller jersey doing like I'm like, so you're embracing this shit. Cool.
I like that. I
like that. The man showed up at WWE in the Garden as a heel. Like, he's doing a lot of shit. Like, he's really embracing this whole villain of New York, bro. And I'm like,
I like it, because that's what the NBA missed stuff like that. Like, literally missed it.
And it's like, if you're gonna take your shot, you're gonna take your shot at the most valuable franchise. And he took a shot, and it was a good shot. Like, he beat our ass last year. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He came in and beat our ass last year. Shit ain't happening again, though. I guarantee you that. Shit ain't happening again, though.
No. So,
but yeah, that is the Western Conference Finals. I mean, the Western Conference.
Yeah.
It is once again an extremely competitive conference. But funny enough, I think the Western Conference is kind of top heavy, but towards like the middle, bottom, and the bottom, like it's bad. Like it's bad.
Yeah.
Like
it's kind of like the East.
Houston. Yeah, Houston is bad. New Orleans is bad. Sacramento is bad. Minnesota, you don't know. Oklahoma City, you got one guy, and there's some hope, but they could potentially be bad too.
San Antonio is taking a step backwards.
San Antonio is bad. So it's like, you got a good amount of like bad teams for the first time in a while in the West.
Which is strange.
It is strange, but the West always seems to compete. So like the record doesn't show you how bad the team is, because sometimes the bottom of the East is so dreadful that it's like you don't notice how bad the bottom of the West is. But like the bottom of the West is bad. I was like, oh God. They might just be well coached, but from a talent standpoint, they're just bad.
It's bad management on the teams to put those teams together. As well.
Because again, a lot of those places have been covered up by good coaching or superstar play. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that is gone now.
Yeah. Oklahoma City before.
Oklahoma City, San Antonio, Houston, New Orleans has done nothing but mismanage everything about that franchise. Just Sacramento is the literal. It is. They are the joke. Like it doesn't make any sense how bad this team is.
Minnesota. Ever since they had that peak time with like Weber and White Chocolate
and Stojakovic and those guys. Downhill. But even still, they were still the little brother.
Oh no doubt. Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that was
that was the only time I think the franchise was ever successful.
I think so too.
Like they're still, I guess, a relatively new franchise, but like they have not been good since those days of Chris Webber, Peja Stojakovic, Mike Bibby, White Chocolate, Vlade Divac. Like they have not been good since that time, since like that early 2000s run that they had. And it doesn't seem like they're coming out of a hole anytime soon. Same thing with Minnesota. So it's like, literally, you have to get to the play-in teams to look at them and be like, oh, there's some good teams here. Because like the play-in teams will probably be like Dallas, Portland, Memphis. And then you'll get one of those really bad teams that just happens to sneak in just because of record. And then the rest of the top is quasi-competitive, but still top-heavy because Golden State and LA are probably the most talented. Denver and Utah are probably the most well-rounded put together. And then the Clippers, you just don't know. With the Clippers, you really just don't know. And then everyone else is either bad or semi-bad or semi-good. So yeah, like the West is in worse shape than I think people are giving it credit for.
I think because
they're going
to
be in the lottery a lot.
Yeah, I think because of the teams up top, they're gonna like kind of forget about the lower end teams.
Right.
Yeah.
And then just taking like a brief look at like the East, I'm like,
it's a little better.
No, it's a lot better because there really are only 3 bad teams in the East.
Yeah, I'm saying it's a little better.
The West legitimately probably has 5 or 6 bad teams. That's what
okay. So San Antonio, like put it this way, San Antonio is regressing backwards, but like the thing is, it depends on their leadership and what they do in the next few years. Because, like I mentioned earlier, it said that Pop is retiring in a year or two, so it depends on what they do.
So it's going to be Becky Hammon's team. Like, let's keep it a buck. We already know it's Becky Hammon. We know it's Becky Hammon.
It might end up being her team because I don't think anybody.
That's why she hasn't left.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody on that roster that he's going to give it to. And I could see them doing that. I could honestly see them doing that.
It makes sense that San Antonio would be the first team to have a female head coach. It just makes sense. And Becky Hammon's been there for mad long.
Yeah, so it depends on like what they do with that, how that transition comes around, and it depends on how they do in the drafts to rebuild and remold. So,
but I mean, like I'm talking about strictly like next year, like this season that started tonight.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that might be. Let's see if that might just be like this might not be a too long. We suck, unlike a Pelicans or Sacramento. We just freaking suck type of thing, no matter what.
Yeah. Even Minnesota, to a degree, it's like, oh God.
Yeah. That's why I don't understand. Like Carl-Anthony Towns stayed for the money. They're not doing.
He got his check, so I mean, I can't get mad at that. He got his check, you know.
And that's what I'm saying. He stayed it for the money, and I'm not mad at him. But it's like, bro, do you not want to win at least, or like be like in the moment where you're actually competing?
Right.
You know, so I don't.
You question his mentality for sure.
Yeah.
But like just previewing the East, like I'm looking at it, I'm like, fam. In reality, though, like, there's only like two teams I can look at and like, oh no, they suck. There's one team that's like, if things flip right, they could be good, and the rest of the teams just improved, like just straight up improved.
No, I think three teams
outside of Philly.
Like, I think three teams just suck, and then the other two teams are like.
I want to know what your third team is.
Oh, it's just the way it is: Cleveland, Orlando, and Detroit.
I don't think Orlando's as bad as their record says. I don't. I think they're way more talented. I don't think the Hornets are as talented as the record showed last year. I think they caught a lot of teams by surprise, but I don't think they're that talented. Well, we're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this edition of Court Kings. It's your man, Jay. Paulinho.
Yes, sir.
Good night.
Good night.